Yo, welcome back to the Random Show, episode number 69. 69, you know the vibes, nice and cheeky. Big up wherever you are. It's episode number 69 of the Random Show with your illustrious host, Agostino Zinga. I hope you are doing well wherever this show may find you. It's been a long time coming. I know it's been a long time coming. My throat feels like it's been coming by the sounds of it, but I hope you guys are doing good. Big up everybody in the stream chat. Big up everybody that's been hollering in the DMs, that's been screaming at me to get back on streaming and stuff. You make me feel special, and you also make me feel like that's the only value I have to you. Some of you guys are cracking the whip, snapping it. Get back to streaming, boy. Get up out that field and start streaming, boy. Start streaming. Now I know how Kanye feels. Okay, now I get it. I get it. But yeah, big up everybody that's been hanging in there and sticking by me. I do appreciate you. As the rumors would suggest, I was maybe occupied with other extracurricular activities, let's just put it at that. But I'm now back, ready to pod, ready to stream, ready to concrete. See how I'm at this? Ready to content create. That's it. Ready to content create. I'm back and I'm ready to content create. I haven't done this in a while. It's been a long time, so please bear with me. Go easy on me. Big up the chat. Big up Uche. Big up everybody that's in here. Oh man, we got some sex workers in the chat. Let's get rid of them, because me not like them sex workers, you know what I mean? Me not pay for the pum pum, none of that nonsense. So let's get these sex workers out of the chat, because this is a bit nuts. But big up everybody that's tuning in. Big up Coiler, obviously. Big up Uche. Big up Matt Zetz. Big up Hassi Buta. Big up everybody out there. I do agree. Oh yeah, let's go through the chat box. I do apologize about that. Why didn't I get down the chat? Why isn't it up? Why does it always do that? Actually, you know what? Maybe it's that thing from last time. Maybe it only works this way, so I've got to only do it the small way. I think that might be the thing. Let's see. Let's put it on this screen. Maybe the chat comes up here, because before the chat wasn't working the other way. It's like, yeah, the bot's missing too. Okay, so maybe the chat comes up like here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, the chat only comes up this way, so let's leave it like that. So here we are, back again, doing the damn thing, enjoying ourselves. I hope you are well wherever you guys are. It's going to be a real jam-packed show today. Many things to dive on into, many things to talk about, many things to explore. So I hope you're going to enjoy it as I'm going to enjoy it. Maybe we should change a little bit of the color so it's not all one. Let's see if I can change the color of the whatchamacallit, of the maybe I can change the color of the font. That's what I'm talking about. So it's green now, and let's see if we can go something else. Let's go for, if it's green, should we go for like a purple? Let's see what a purple looks like. Let's go for that. Let's go for purple. Let's see what that looks like. Let's go for a little purple number, a little bit of a violetta. A violetta. How's a violetta? Yeah, violetta is nice. That looks quite nice. Let's go for a violetta. So Violetta is going to come up now as you guys are chatting. Hopefully you enjoy and you like that. Got the chat up on the jumper prompt. Big up Uche. So sorry, big up Uche for the reminder. I do appreciate you. So everybody, hope you are well. Hope you are good. I really do. There's going to be many things to jump on into, many things to talk about, many things I've missed and not covered previously before. I was going to do a little Thanksgiving thing as well, but I missed out on that. And obviously, you know, being English, caring about Thanksgiving is a little bit cringe, a little bit fake. It's kind of like when us English people start caring about Halloween and getting dressed up. That's something for you guys over there in America. You guys do that stuff way better than us. We kind of pretend that we love Halloween. We pretend that we love Thanksgiving. We pretend that we're big on Christmas, but we're not really. We don't really care. We just like to get on with life and kind of be left alone. So that doesn't necessarily work with us. So that wasn't going to happen. But I would like to kind of do a quick little recap, I thought, of some of the greatest hits I thought happened around the whole Fighting the Kid universe. I'm going to go over a few of those. There's some other bits and bobs I want to touch upon as well regarding the Liver King. Also, that stuff's been happening. That expose has been absolutely hilarious to watch in real time. The stuff happening with Alex Pereira and Brendan's also something I want to touch upon. And of course, the flipping interview, some bits and pieces here or there with Kanye West on Alex Jones. I don't think I've seen many people play clips. I don't know if you guys have seen other commentators or whatever, or react to people on YouTube play clips from the interview with Alex Jones and Ye. I'm not sure if people are legitimately scared to play the clips, or if you play them, your channel might get demonetized or it might get taken down. I'm not too sure, but there's some clips I saw on Twitter doing the rounds that I might play here and there. But if you know of anyone that has played them, please let me know. If it's not a thing that people do, then obviously I might just allow it, because I don't want to get in trouble and I don't want to risk this channel getting deleted for me thinking I'm edgy by playing flipping, you know, Kanye in the flipping gimp mask going absolutely wild on that flipping show. So if that's not the case, then obviously oh really? Okay, cool. Yunjio is saying I uploaded a 1-minute clip from it and automatically got removed, no penalty. All right, cool, good to know. So let's see, maybe we can play in the background, you can hear the audio. I'm not too sure, but let's see what I'll go on as we go through the whole entire thing. We might not even get to it in the first place, but I've got some thoughts. I have some thoughts to go with that also. So before we continue, we need to talk about this quickly. I thought this was pretty funny. Maybe this is just me. I thought this was pretty wild and quite possibly the whitest thing that I've ever seen. Doesn't this seem a bit tone deaf to you? Maybe this is just me. Maybe it's a bit tone deaf. Maybe it's a bit wild, but let me know what you guys think. So this is the producer for this new film that Will Smith is in called The Emancipation. He says it's not a slave movie, it's a freedom movie, but essentially it is a slave movie because, if I'm not mistaken, it details the period between the Slavery Act being abolished and then, you know, the slaves actually being free, because I think it was like a 6-month period, a 7-month period between the Slave Act ending and the slaves being free, and how slowly the news traveled around amongst parts of North America, the disillusion that some people had, you know, whatever it may be. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a complex and layered movie overall, I'm pretty sure. But I thought this was pretty wild that a producer of this movie called Joey McFarlane would be on the red carpet, the premiere for this movie, and he would pull out this trinket from his pocket thinking he's doing something. To me, it sounds a little bit sick that he's carrying around this picture in his back pocket, but maybe I'm just being a little bit of a snowflake. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Oh, actually, I've got to switch the audio. See, I've been so out of flipping practice that I forgot to flipping switch the audio. Let me put the audio there. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, let me know what you think in the chat.
Tell me how you came to own the photo and why it was important for you to, once you did.
I have the photo. This is the original photograph from 1863, and
this nigga is carrying around a picture of a man that was whipped and beaten in his back pocket like it's a fucking Pokemon card. Is that not the most whitest thing you've ever seen in your life, or am I overreacting? Honestly, this guy's carrying a picture of a man that was beaten black and blue, that was stripped of his civil liberties, stripped of his freedom, of his autonomy, of his right to choose, in his back pocket, like he's flipping carrying a rare Charizard or something. Like, this is hilarious.
Wanted it to be here tonight. I wanted a piece of Peter to be here tonight. Sadly, it's sadly to...
I'm sorry. This is the wildest thing I've seen in my life.
Say so many artifacts and photographs have not been preserved or curated or respected.
Look at Auntie in the background taking a picture of this man carrying a remnant of her flipping ancestor in his back pocket. Like... like it's the first past the flipping South by Southwest. You know, the first lanyards for the first ever South by Southwest, when I think it might have been when Twitter or Snapchat launched or something, or the ones that Tim Ferriss used to go to in the early days of Silicon Valley, where everybody's there in their flip-flops or barefooted talking about self-actualization and optimization, all this sort of nonsense. And you got the first lanyards from South by Southwest. Cool. One thing. The first flipping flyer from, I don't know, Studio 54 when that first launched. Cool. That's one thing. But carrying around a picture of a beaten slave, a whipped slave to be precise, is sick.
And I took it upon myself to curate and build a collection for future generations. You know, I've been...
Excuse me? He's got a collection. Oh, of some of the most traumatic moments in Black history. Where just in his cupboard in his house? Is it on his flipping nightstand? Is it displayed across his fireplace? Does he have them hung up like it's at the Whitney Museum or something? Like, is it in these little nice plastic sheet sleeve things in a book, like a family album? Like, excuse me?
Collecting for, a very long time. My collection will be donated at the end of my...
I even have the whips, the clamps, the ropes.
My life for educational purposes.
Maybe he was one of the guys that supplied the ropes for when Juicy Smollett flipping allegedly got that noose tied around his neck. Maybe he's the #1 manufacturer of these ropes in the first place.
And it's something I just want to give back. But for me, my love of history, my love of truth, my love of larger than life individuals that had an impact on not just some people's lives, but the world. It's worth fighting for. It's worth preserving. It's worth seeking out and protecting. And that's what I sought to do. And the story that came out of that, it transcends entertainment. It transcends cinema. It is a lesson. It is a conversation that is needed. It needs to start and continue and keep growing and evolving. And we just need to come together. And we need to reckon with the past so future generations don't make the same mistake.
Yeah, but if Kanye pulled out a picture of Anne Frank, remains, said he keeps this close to his chest to remind himself of the horrors of the Holocaust, people would be going flipping crazy. Let's not. This is insane. His heart's in the right place. He has good intentions, but that is legitimately one of the most nuts things I've seen in my entire life. This guy carrying around a card or an original picture of this man that got whipped and beaten bloody and blue, probably at his lowest moment of his life, as what? Motivation or something. Did he use that before he flipping goes and does a fucking CrossFit workout to get him going? Honestly, legitimately one of the ridiculous things I've seen in my life. But hey, Will Smith's going to be making some level of a comeback. As much as this kind of annoyed me and angered me as a big Will Smith fan to have seen this kind of fall from grace and to see him essentially humiliate himself in public on purpose, it feels like the weird relationship he has with his wife and all this sort of details that we don't needed to know. It's horrible to see somebody he looked up as a hero fall like that. It is also pretty neat to see him kind of get back up and try to fix his career. Is it going to work? Are people really ready for it in that way? I'm not too sure. I think if you come off the back of what Will Smith has come back off to do a slave movie as your sort of redemption movie, it feels a little bit tone deaf in my opinion. It feels maybe a bit too heavy handed. Maybe there isn't enough time in between to give people a chance to maybe miss you and to forgive you themselves, because I feel like a lot of these, especially these bigger stars, they don't really give you a time to maybe get around to their way of thinking. They just kind of bludgeon you to death to accept them how they are, or to just move on. There is no time to reflect. Reflecting doesn't work when you're a big Hollywood star. You just have to keep the wheels kind of turning, and as a fan you have to make a decision quickly. Do you like me or not? But they're not going to stop anytime soon. But I would have liked him if he took a little bit more time off personally and just chilled. That's what I think. Just chilled a little bit more, because I don't think the sentiment around Will Smith has really changed that much. And I'm a big fan. I read the guy's autobiography. I watched every single episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, flipping maybe 7 times over. I watched all the movies. I listened to all the interviews. I was hardcore Will Smith fan. And even I'm saying I'm not quite ready to be inundated and flooded with Will Smith promo content like for the next months or so coming up, because that's what he does, and he's a beast. Him and The Rock and Kevin Hart are flipping top tier when it comes to promoting movies. They're going to be flipping on every platform, every channel. He's not going to skirt any question. He's going to repeat the same answers. He's going to have the same anecdotes. He's going to do some dances, tell some jokes or something. It's going to be the same thing again and again and again, and it's going to be so tiring. Someone said, do you think he can ever make a fully comeback? Says the Rinks. I don't think so. He can. No, I think he can. I think ultimately in this industry, as long as you're incredibly talented, there's always room for you to come back. We've already seen it with Kanye a little bit, or Ye as he likes to be referred to now, or even with somebody like who's the other guy, Antonio Brown, he's going through an issue now where he's got an arrest warrant out for him. He allegedly has been barricading himself in his house. Antonio Brown's really good at football. He's really, really good at what he does. If he decides to get his life together and decides to recommit again to American football, there'd be teams queuing up to sign him again, even with all his problems, even the fact that he's incredibly toxic, he's a problem in the change room, he's fallen out of literally every team he's been on. There'll be teams there willing to chance it because he could give you a chance at glory. The same thing for Kanye West. Genius music producer, probably a pretty decent footwear designer and clothing designer. There are people really ready and willing to sign him a check as long as he's going to behave well. And the same goes for Will Smith. He made a mistake, he flipped up, but instead of being a blockbuster, you know, movie star of that level, there aren't many that exist, especially a black one. There's not many of them on that level. So there's always going to be a studio and a production company willing to bankroll something that he does because they know he's legitimately blockbuster, like a legitimate A-level star, you know, famous person. There's not many of them in the world if you think about it, really. There's a lot of people that you know off the internet, off of social media, off of these things that you watch, but in terms of being a global star, there's not many of them. Yeah, I said blockbuster, there's not many of them, and he's definitely one. So I think his talent should allow him to come back. The Rinks, I think his talent should allow him to come back, but in this world also, I've noticed in this kind of new era of social media and kind of content consumption and creation and fans on social, I've noticed there is a little bit of apathy. Sometimes I think in social and content creation, the thing that happens that's probably the worst, I think, these days, your career doesn't die. It doesn't just end. If anything, people just stop responding either way. They just become a little bit apathetic. They become a little bit meh. They don't give you anything either way. And I think that's usually the worst reaction. You want people to hate you or love you. What you don't want is people to be indifferent. And that's what I think a lot of people are sometimes. When they're exhausted of you, they become indifferent. But if you're Will Smith, you can't afford to have fans that are indifferent. You need a reaction because you need to sell stuff. You need to sell toys. You need to sell tickets, t-shirts, you know, cozies, whatever. You're always selling something. So and there's always people banking on you also to sell those things. So there is no time to just coast and be middle of the road. Like Will Smith can't be a middle of the road actor. It's either blockbuster or nothing. There's nothing else he can do. There's no like middle ground. There's no nothing. He has to be A star level or he might as well just retire. So, and someone like that also with the narcissism involved, it's very difficult to step back from the limelight. It's all a bit of a madness in general, but it's going to be very difficult for him to come back because I feel like a lot of people are in the same way, like they're a bit apathetic and a little bit fed up and tired of the Kardashians, but they don't really show it. I think the same thing that they do with Will Smith. They're just going to let him do what he's going to do, but no one's going to react either way. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Next one, let's have a quick one to mention is this. This is pretty funny, isn't it? And I thought this was pretty hilarious. It looks like somebody at Amazon came out and essentially said everything that you guys were saying about Kyrie Irving and the outrage was for nothing. Because look at this. This is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Kyrie Irving, anti-Semitic film not coming down, says Amazon CEO. So the movie that Kyrie Irving took a screenshot of from an Amazon platform, shared in his Instagram story with no comment, no nothing added onto it, right? It's going to be kept on Amazon, even though him sharing that movie on his platform nearly cost him his job, nearly cost him his ability to look after his family, his extended friends, his extended circle of family as well, right? His outer circle of family and friends that depend on him. All the charity work he does would have all come into jeopardy if people's outrage was enough to get the team that he plays for, I think the Brooklyn Nets, to cancel his contract, whatever it may be. He was nearly out of a job for sharing this movie that's on Amazon, but Amazon aren't going to take it down. The hypocrisy of the world we live in is absolutely incredible. I find it absolutely fascinating. So it says here, courtesy of TMZ, the controversial anti-Semitic film Kyrie Irving shared on Twitter, Hebrews to Negroes, wake up Black America. That's such a Hassim Bey type of lyric, right? Hebrews to Negroes, wake up Black America. With that little microphone that he uses, right? Is not being removed from Amazon, saying company CEO Andy Jassy. As a retailer of the content of hundreds of millions of customers with a lot of different viewpoints, we have to allow the access to these viewpoints, even if they're objectionable and they differ from our particular viewpoints. Jassy also said he was Jewish, a New York Times Deal Book Summer in New York City. Isn't this the perfect the perfect sort of pushback to cancel culture. This is the perfect one line or one sheet or manifesto against cancel culture, right? Wouldn't you think so? As a retailer of content to hundreds of millions of customers with a lot of different viewpoints, we have to allow access to these viewpoints, even if they're objectionable and they differ from our particular viewpoints. That's what we should be like as a society. We should allow people who have different viewpoints, even if they don't align directly with ours, to express them, especially if you're a brand and you get some controversial person to front your campaign. You have to be okay with them having controversial and objectionable viewpoints that don't exactly align with your own, because you know everybody else that buys your products or likes your services probably doesn't have the same viewpoints that you have anyway. That should be the manifesto against it. But you then can't say Amazon are allowed to keep it online, but then you want to take away Kyrie Irving's career from him because he shared it. The truth of the reality of the situation is they didn't want to remove Kyrie Irving, or they didn't want to nearly cost him his job and remove him from the Brooklyn Nets because of the thing he shared. They've always had it out for Kyrie Irving because of him essentially being very, very anti-COVID, right? To the point where he missed the entire season, didn't he? Again, I'm not familiar with basketball, but if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the people that didn't refuse to get a vaccine, didn't he? So I think from that moment on, and the fact that he's always been a little bit, you know, a little bit against the grain, a little bit counterculture, a little bit outside the box in terms of his flat earth stuff and whatnot, he's clearly somebody that kind of, you know, moves to the beat of his own drum. But I think for sure that COVID vaccination thing was definitely one of the things that they wanted to kind of use as something to kind of beat him over the head with and get him out of the paint. But for whatever reason, they couldn't do it. And when he jumped up and kind of shared this as a screenshot off the back of the whole Kanye stuff that he was saying, they was like, oh, perfect opportunity. But this is insane that Amazon can list it up there, not getting any trouble, no blowback online. You're not seeing people saying cancel Amazon, but they wanted to cancel Kyrie Irving. Absolute bullshit. Jesse's comments come in after coming in the face of the retail giants facing public backlash for still carrying the book and the film on this platform, which Irving shared last month. The reality is that we have very expansive customer reviews. He continues for books with a lot of attention, especially public attention. Customers do a good job of monitoring other people. Exactly. If the book is objectionable, the book has some crazy things. Again, I buy a lot of books from Amazon. I know you read through some of the comments and the reviews, and if you have a particular viewpoint in life, or you're from a particular marginalized community or whatever it may be, you read through the comments and the reviews, somebody will give you a heads up on something that you should keep an eye on. They will give you a kind of an FYI, an FAO, whatever it may be, so that you're aware and you're not going into whatever you're going to read blind, and you know what to kind of look for. Then it's up to you with your own spending money as a grown adult to decide, do I want to watch this or not? That's what you should be able to do. But also, this has been fantastic promotion for this flipping documentary, right? This has been one of the best pieces of flipping promotion you could ever get, to be honest. Justice told New York Times, it's a slippery slope when deciding what content should not be sold on the platform, adding that instances where violence or pedophilia is being encouraged is more straightforward. Of course, Justice's comments aren't really being well received, with Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of Anti-Defamation League, ADL, who publicly campaigned for Amazon to join Basel, taking the book and film down. But yeah, I just find that hilarious. I find that flipping maddening. This man's career nearly got completely eviscerated because he shared a screenshot from the flipping page showing a movie, not endorsing it in any other way apart from a screenshot. The platform that's hosting it gets in no trouble, no blowback online, and everyone just continues as per normal. Cool, man. Cool. Absolutely ridiculous. He really took away this man's career, man. You know, black people as well, when it comes to those kind of jobs, he's probably feeding and supporting and looking after many people. You put all of that into jeopardy because he dared to share a fucking screenshot. Nah, man. This world we live in is absolutely wild. Anyway, continue on. I'm not really familiar with who this person is because I don't watch American football, but it did make me think, how thankless is it a task to be a parent, right? You bring life into this world, and unfortunately, no matter how much you punish, how much you teach, how much you try and guide, your children are basically their own people. They've got their own personalities, their own way of living, their own way of viewing the world. No amount of indoctrination or teachings or guiding is ever really going to make them the way that you want them to be. They're eventually going to be their own person in one way, shape or form. But how horrifying it must it be when you're a parent and your son gets accused of flipping child pornography charges. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Especially for this one. This is the son of former Cowboys QB John KITNA, right? Like, what do you do when you're a somewhat famous, you know, former football player, and your son, somebody you're hoping might follow in your footsteps, is now being charged with child pornography charges? What do you do as a parent? Like, what can you do apart from support? And if you do support, you look absolutely nuts, because essentially it's like you're endorsing or advocating for child porn in a roundabout way, because you're defending, you know, your son and basically saying he didn't do it, or basically trying to, you know, minimize the charges, whatever it may be. But it must be such a thankless task, man. Oh my God. This is courtesy of Fox 4. Son of former Cowboys QB John KITNA arrested on child pornography charges. That's the kid there. The son of former Dallas Cowboy quarterback John KITNA was arrested on multiple charges related to child pornography on Wednesday. Jalen KITNA attended Burleson High School before becoming a quarterback at the University of Florida. Once Wednesday, police said that they were served a search warrant at his address after they received a cyber tip indicating that a Discord user, later identified as KITNA, disturbing images of child sex abuse material through their platform. This is actually quite encouraging. I don't use Discord as much as I used to in the past, but it is quite encouraging that there's a feature on Discord that allows you to alert the authorities if somebody is sharing child pornography type material. That's pretty cool. So it's not like a safe haven for those sickos to go in there and share whatever they want to share. There's an easy way to kind of alert the authorities. That's pretty cool to see. Police said intervened. Sorry, police said when they intervened. Sorry, what am I saying? Intervened. I said interviewed. Police said when they interviewed KITNA, he said he remembered sharing 2 images but believed that they were legal since he found them online. Yo, that's a mad thing to say. Shortly after sharing the pictures, KITNA said that his Discord account was deactivated and assumed that somebody reported him. So he just went about his day. When KITNA's electronic devices were searched, police said they found more images of child sexual abuse material. He was arrested in Florida and booked on 2 counts of distribution of child exploitation material and 3 counts of possession of child pornography. The 19-year-old KITNA has played 4 games at the University of Florida. We are shocked and saddened to hear the news involving Jalen KITNA. These are extremely serious charges. The University of Florida and UAA have zero tolerance for such behavior. Jalen has been suspended indefinitely from the football program. I thought they were going to say, because it's football, we're going to await the outcome of the court proceedings before we make a decision. And his father, John KITNA, played at the Cowboys for 2010 to 2011. He is currently head coach at the Burleson High School. Your dad is a high school coach, and you are there flipping sharing child pornography pictures. Oh my God. I don't know. What do you do as a parent? And if you're a proper parent, this is what you do. You go and support your child at court. The shame of putting your parents through this is horrendous, right? Imagine having to put your parents through this because you want him to be edgy. You're hoping it's him being edgy and it's not him actually having an interest in those type of things. You'd hope so. But God almighty, man, what do you do? Legitimately, what do you do? They're just there. They're gonna support him. The charges are quite heavy. I don't envy them, man. So, you know, good luck to the parents, I guess, in that regard. Good luck to the parents. If the kid's guilty, bury him under the jail. No tolerance for anything involving children whatsoever. No tolerance for anything involving children whatsoever. Next, I want to quickly post this and talk about this. I thought was interesting. Let me see this. Let's talk about this one. So it looks like the guy in the yellow hoodie, who everybody on the internet has convinced themselves was the person who shot Takeoff, R.I.P., the Migos legend, and you know, the guy that everyone's thinking is responsible for the shooting that happened in that shopping mall somewhere where they were playing dice, has been arrested. But his defense team has come out pretty strongly and basically said that he wasn't the one that shot Takeoff. But they've also hinted at the fact that he might know who did shoot Takeoff and he might be willing to reveal it, you know, depending on what, I guess, deal was on the table. The interesting part for me is if he wasn't the one who shot Takeoff, who did? And if the real person who shot Takeoff happens to be who everybody thinks it might be, allegedly, it might be the brother or the half brother of Quavo, who was trying to protect the Migos in that altercation but had terrible aim and unfortunately shot Takeoff in the exchange. If that's the case, Jesus Christ, man. I feel for flipping Quavo and that whole family. If one of their brothers unintendedly, you know, unfortunately, without intention, you know, unfortunately flipping Takeoff, that must be terrible to flipping handle. It's really horrible as it is, the loss, but to know that one of your own team did it by accident, Jesus.
At M-A-T-T Gilliam, G-I-L-L-I-A-M. I'm a prosecutor at the Harris County DA's office. So just our statement is we believe Cameron Joshua has been appropriately charged in this case, and we're continuing our investigation into the death of Takeoff. Thank you all.
Good. Can you spell your first last name?
Sure, it's Christopher Downey, D-O-W-N-E-Y. I'm representing Cameron Joshua.
Can you tell us what happened in court today?
Sure. Cameron Joshua has been charged with 2 counts of carrying a weapon, and it has only tangential relationship to this shooting involving Takeoff. He's not being charged with the shooting. I think the DA's office knows the difference between carrying a weapon and a shooting case, and if they thought he was involved in the shooting, they would have charged him with it.
So is this where, like, I guess there's social media video, like what we've all seen, where he's in the video carrying a gun? Is that where you think all this stemmed from? Or?
That's my understanding. According to the affidavit that's been filed in the first carrying a weapon case, it's based on the shooting. Let me say, it's based on the circumstances surrounding the shooting, in that he's alleged to have had a gun there at the scene when the shooting happened.
And is that a witness saw him with the gun rather than him having used it?
Right, that's my understanding as well, that it's based on a witness's observation that he had a firearm.
And then the witness apparently said they saw him re-racking the weapon.
That's the rumor. I haven't seen anything to support that.
Hey, tell us what happened here legally, as far as you guys just reset the case because he was out on bond or probation on other cases?
Yes, so Mr. Joshua was on bond for an unrelated matter, possessing a fake ID, and the case was reset to determine conditions of bond, whether he'll be held at no bond because it's alleged to have committed an offense while on bond, or whether he'll be given a reasonable bond.
I'm just curious to know what exactly did occur, because there's so many different theories out there about what actually went down, but it would be really heartbreaking if that original story that Quavo gets into some sort of altercation with somebody there, Houston native, that altercation then escalates into a pushing contest. One person or 2 people start throwing punches, then immediately the crews that came with each person from the Migos and the Houston native decides to pull out their weapons and start to exchange gunshots. And in the crossfire of exchanging gunshots, inadvertently one of the Migos team ends up shooting Takeoff once, and then in the crossfire one of the Houston team ends up shooting Takeoff a second time, and that's how he passes away. If that's what actually happened, that is legitimately heartbreaking, honestly. Like hugely heartbreaking if that's how he went out. Because the other part of the story also is that some woman that was there said something like, oh, he was minding his business and he was zooted to the moon, right? He was high as hell, just having a good time, just chilling in the cut on the side, minding his business. So he probably was not in any kind of shape or mental state to react quickly in the moment and to kind of figure out where to go and how to move, because he was just, you know, high and enjoying himself. So maybe he went out painless. That might be one of the kind of, you know, silver lining in this whole thing. He didn't suffer too long, but still, to know that he went out in that way, in such an avoidable situation, is really horrible. And to also know that maybe it came, you know, from the gun of somebody that was meant to be there to protect you, and because they had terrible aim, or because it was a really cramped place that everyone was running around, who knows, that happened. It's just truly heartbreaking. But I am curious to know what happened, because from all the footage that I've checked out and seen from various YouTubers and stuff who've been doing their own investigations, it did look quite nailed on that the yellow hoodie guy, which was Little Cams, wasn't responsible for it, because it looked like he was the one that was standing kind of behind Takeoff. It looked like he was the one that maybe had shot and then was trying to run away as the other shots were coming back from, I think, Quavo's half brother. It did seem like that from the video that I saw, but of course I'm pretty sure they have, you know, CCTV from loads of different angles, because all we have so far is video phone footage from the people that are at the event, and that's super shaky, especially when they're moving around. But they may have stationary CCTV cameras that actually give you a clear line of view in terms of what exactly went down and what happened. I don't think them arresting the guy Lil Camps for the gun possession and not arresting him for the shooting is any bearing on the case. If anything, it feels like arresting Lil Camps for the gun possession with him being a felon and not meant to carry a gun is more so a way to keep him not from running, or to keep him from not running, and to also keep him from not kind of doing any witness intimidation sort of thing, or talking to anybody else associated with this whole thing. That's what it feels like they're trying to do in that regard, as they build their case in the background and really sort of dot their I's and cross their T's, you would imagine. But if it does kind of transpire that Quavo's half brother was allegedly responsible, God almighty, imagine what they're already dealing with and how hard it is to deal with that loss, and then to know someone from your own camp inadvertently did it. I can't imagine, man. I legitimately can't imagine. And then last thing I went to quickly mention and talk about was this, which I thought was absolutely hilarious and just makes me laugh in general. So there's this thing, courtesy of Glock Topics. Nike hits popular shoe designer Kool Kai up with an infringement lawsuit over similarities in his shoe design. The thing that made me laugh about this thing was the shock and bewilderment from this designer that Nike decided to sue him for these kicks that he's making. Is this guy smoking the crispiest and the crystallest of crystals? That he is absolutely upset and annoyed and shocked and appalled that Nike would file a copyright infringement on him, essentially copying a Jordan 1 silhouette and adding what, a Thunderstrike to it or something. These sneaker customizers are horrendous. So it says here in the caption, Kool Kai woke up. The people as well who write their captions like this are ridiculously redacted, where every first letter is uppercase, is you need something. Woke up this morning to a lawsuit from the mega giant corporation that I supported my whole life. The fact that they are suing a young black man who started out exactly how they did, kind of crazy to me. Ironic how they tell us to just do it. Kai ready though. What the Kai art show 12/13 at the I guess Miami Art Basel. Absolutely lacking in shame. Somebody would do this. Imagine lacking in shame to do this, to think that this has anything to do with, oh shit, super chat.
Ye praised Hitler and the Nazis on InfoWars. Your thoughts?
Ye, I didn't, not ye, not me. I've always said ye, not me. Ye did, formerly known as Kanye West. Yeah, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on that in a bit. But big up for the $5 super chat, Charles F. I do appreciate you. I'll do my thoughts on that in a bit. But that was a lot. That interview was a lot. But yeah, Kool Kai needs to chill out, my dude. For the most part, I feel like all sneaker customizers are legitimately redacted. I feel like they all lack genuine inspiration, general creativity, general talent, or whatever it may be, to create stuff from the actual ground up. They all do the same thing. They take pre-existing silhouettes and just add their own logo to them. They don't create anything new. They don't actually test themselves by trying to win over a customer who would essentially buy a Jordan 1 silhouette already and try to get them to buy something more challenging. That's why I give Kanye all the props for what he did with Adidas and Yeezy, because he took these silhouettes that for the most part people would think are quite challenging to wear. They probably wouldn't want to wear them prior to him making them, and he essentially made them cool. Nowadays you see general mums and dads wearing 350s and stuff like that. They are legitimately shoes that you see the regular civilian wearing every single day, and that's a far harder design challenge to kind of conquer than it is to take a very popular silhouette and just add a different colorway, different material applications, and a different flipping branding and whatever to replace a swoosh. This is pretty easy to do. Anyone can do it. But to take a silhouette from scratch and to design it from the ground up and make it work and make it popular, that's hard to do. But these sneaker customizers don't do it because they're lazy, untalented hacks. They have no ability to actually design anything new or interesting. Then they get annoyed and they start getting surprised when people get sued, right? Imagine this stuff, right? This horrendous shoe allowed this guy to buy this amazing, right, Rolex watch, this nice jewelry, these trendy jeans, uninspired bullcrap, because it's an easy cash grab. But if you really want to test yourself, go out there and invest that money that you bought into this into flipping making a brand new silhouette from the ground up, not using these already pre-existing factories that already exist that make these sort of silhouettes already. Actually design something from scratch. That's the harder thing to do, but they don't want to do it because that actually requires talent, and then they get surprised when Nike wants to sue them for copyright infringement. It's absolute bullcrap. These guys are untalented, horrendous hacks, and I hate every single one of them. There's not one sneaker customizer out there that's actually good. They're all flipping terrible, from John Geiger to all the way through. They're all terrible, they're all crap, and I wish they'd all go away. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, so let's continue and let's roll on with this, and let's make this a cool and fun show. So I was meant to do a Thanksgiving show, but I obviously didn't do it because I'm English and it's a bit lame, it's a bit corny and whatever else it may be. But I thought I'd go through some of my favorite moments from the Brendan Schaub universe that I thought I'd kind of cover quickly before we go into some of the news that happened this week. And I'm going to touch upon a bit of it and go through it at breakneck speed. The first thing that I thought was super hilarious, and I thought was really funny and kind of demonstrated the gargantuan level, the gargantuan lack of self-awareness that Brendan Schaub has, and why he's legitimately one of the most fascinating people to follow and cover and just kind of watch from afar, was when he had that back and forth, or when he had his only, he was one going forth, there was no back, exchange with Dana White off of the back of him saying 3 words, right? That makes sense. Right, he said 3 words, that makes sense, and it kind of turned Brendan Schaub into an absolute goon, where he decided to go on this absolute unhinged diatribe to attack Dana White. And the funny kind of the funny sort of thing to kind of preface this with, for the best part of, it feels like 6 months prior to this, Brendan did a weird heel turn where he essentially was trying to publicly curry the favor of Dana White. He spoke really glowingly about him. He mentioned how much of a beast it is to run the UFC, the money that they made, the fact that Dana White is a boss, and all this sort of stuff. Like, he was really turning and kind of, you know, doing an about face and really trying to lick the boot when it comes to Dana White to kind of get back into his good graces, when really they've been enemies from day dot, right? He's never liked him. Dana White was part of the reason why he essentially quit the UFC in the first place. Obviously the Reebok deal impacted that. Obviously him being able to be successful on the Fight and the Kid made it easier to leave, but there was always a bit of a beef between them, right? It was never always sweet from day dot. So the fact that he tried to turn it and change into this guy that always loved Dana White was incredibly cringe. So when it came to him deciding to put out this unsubstantiated, I can't even speak, this unfounded conspiracy theory about Khamzat Chimaev and UFC, I think 289, and, you know, the fight that's going to happen between Nate Diaz and all this sort of nonsense, when he decided to put out that, float that theory out there, it obviously didn't really endear him to the UFC brass, because it made them look like they were colluding behind the scenes to fix fight cards a certain way. Then they didn't take it well, and he said 3 words to him, that makes sense, or something. And look at the reply that Brendan Schaub put out on his Instagram profile. This is peak lacking in self-awareness, and this is definitely written by BGL, by the way. Oh God, here we go again. I've been nothing but cool and thought you would learn from the last time you mentioned my name and got destroyed. Unfortunately, not surprised you're a bully. Brendan's a bully. Always have been, and you put on a pair of designer jeans and some hip sneakers and think you're cool. That's essentially what Brendan does. That is, lack of self-awareness is legendary. You're still a dork with a frat bro vocabulary. He's got a better vocabulary than you, Brendan. Calling me and numerous people dummy and dumbass and fucking idiot because we have questions about the chaos at the UFC 279. That's probably the same equivalence to him calling everybody that criticizes his comedy or doesn't think he's funny a homeless person, right? That's essentially the same thing. That's essentially a legendary clip, by the way. Also, no one is talking about gate tickets. I was referring to pay-per-view buys and how 279 was trending, which don't release to was trending, which you don't release to the public, but will set. But but we'll say it went fucking great, bros. Sorry, we just don't buy what you're telling us after lying numerous times, but the sheep media you pick to attend events don't have the balls to call you out. That's hilarious because he's trying to make it seem as if like he's this bastion of free speech and whatnot, when he's the guy that was suing small YouTubers for essentially floating the idea that he may or may not have cheated on his wife. Crazy. We move. Just in a recent press conference, you were caught lying about an extra compensation to your fighters. This dude lies every single day, sometimes about the most innocuous, no nonsense things. Just the other day I was browsing the Fire and the Kids subreddit and there was a clip someone posted where he said now that Elon has taken over Twitter, he's seen an increase of 200,000 people on his as followers on his Twitter account. And it's like, why would you lie about that? That's demonstrably not true. We could just go through, we could just look at your flipping Twitter and see you haven't gained 200,000 followers. We can go on Social Blade and see you have not had a spike of 200,000 followers. If anything, you've had a negative for day in, day out, right? You've seen people kind of unfollowing you all the time. So why would you lie about that? It's such a weird thing to lie about, but he lies all the time. So him calling somebody else out for lying is absolutely hilarious. It continues. Just in a recent press conference, you were caught lying about extra compensation to the fighters. You need a reality check. He needs the biggest one in the world. You're surrounded by yes men. You can say the same thing about Brendan. Anybody that disagrees with him, he fires. It continues. You're not special. You're not original. You're a low budget Vince McMahon. Every move you make is a copycat of that dude. Only thing you have in common is you're both on steroids and dressed like assholes. To be fair to Brendan, that was the best diss in this whole thing. You're a low budget Vince McMahon and you dress like assholes. I think that's pretty funny. Even though it doesn't make any sense with Dana, because he just wears t-shirts and jeans and trainers. He doesn't wear like ill-fitting flipping black preacher pastor suits. It continues. Need I remind you, your origin story is a failed cardio kickboxing instructor who had 2 rich friends in high school to fund his business. Need we remind you, Brendan, that your start in the business was being friends with Joe Rogan and Brian Callen. Without those two, there's no way you'd be where you are now. So, you know, we need to relax with the friends and stuff. We don't pick our friends. They're a blessing if you have friends that are able to kind of give you a platform. Now you go to make a cool video with the Nelk Boys to stay relevant, or you have a PR team come up with a good press story to distract the fans away from the fighter pay and how you have to wear those awful Under Armour rock shoes and won't see a dime. Dummy. P.S. Quit stealing my shows on Thick Boy Network and recreating them on Fight Pass, okay? Also, leave Pat Miletich alone. That was the best part about it at the end, where he assumed that the UFC or Dana White was checking Thick Boy Network on YouTube and stealing the premise of what? Food Truck Diaries or something? I don't know. But this for me was one of the legendary great moments to look back on in Brendan Schaub history when it comes to him just being immensely unself-aware and just, you know, the legend that he is in this year. So that's what I was thankful for in terms of checking back on it. I think I was meant to mention this when I was going to do the Thanksgiving stream. The next thing I thought was pretty funny, again, just a kind of a look back on stuff that I thought was hilarious, was this clip. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen this. This is a comedian called Ryan Davis, and this only feels like it just happened yesterday, but it's only 5 months ago. This video where he absolutely destroys Brendan. I thought this was absolutely brilliant. Let's see this.
I know you're funny.
Brendan Schaub used to be an MMA fighter, and now he's on Joe Rogan. Yeah.
I like that the lady immediately knew who he was. She immediately knew where it was going. So that already proves to you that in the business of showbiz, people behind the scenes love to use him as a cautionary tale or an example that people use of like, I don't get it. How is this guy successful when he's terrible at what he does? Clearly, this is a conversation going on behind the scenes in green rooms across the country.
That's when I know you're funny.
Brendan Schaub used to be an MMA fighter, and now he's on Joe Rogan. Yeah, this nigga is awful. He was awful in MMA, and he is awful at stand-up comedy. This nigga is terrible. They gave him a special on Showtime. This nigga was bombing in front of his own audience. Niggas paid to see you. They should just be excited that you're in the fucking room. And people they were like, oh my God, I paid to see this nigga. And you know what? You deserve it. You deserve Any person who was punched in the head professionally, and then you go, I wonder what he's thinking. You deserve to waste all your money. He's awful. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I thought that was absolutely fucking brilliant. And for me, a peak indication of what the sentiment is behind the scenes with someone like him, which is why I think, in general, for all of Brendan's flipping mistakes and all these shortcomings and whatnot, I do still think one of his best traits is his ability to just keep soldiering on despite all of this, because he must know behind the scenes the things people say about him and how he's looked upon. He must know. And still he wakes up and just dusts himself up again and just keeps going. It must be so hard to take, knowing what this is happening behind the scenes. Absolutely brutal. And I thought this was pretty funny also. Another recap clip I wanted to say in terms of what I'm thankful for that I saw in the year. Because this for me served as a reminder, as a clear indication that Joe had, how can you describe it? Yeah, it was a clear indication for me that there was a disconnect between what Joe knows about his friends and what his friends do behind his back using his name. Like, I don't think Joe Rogan's that aware of what's going on in the kind of, the minutia of the comedy industry or the green room with some of his underlings and what they do, when he's not around, and how they speak about him and how they use his name. Because when he got kind of involved in the whole Bobby Lee thing, or when Brendan or Bryan, I think, name dropped, Joe Rogan's name as a threat to Bobby Lee to kind of keep him in line, I think that was a wake up call for him to be like, oh shit, these guys are legitimately using my name as a source of intimidation or something to keep people in checks. People don't kind of call them out on their bullshit. I thought that's absolutely hilarious, and also showed that clearly Joe isn't really as close to those guys as they would like to make it seem as.
I'm a huge fan of Bobby Lee. He should be on this podcast.
I love Bobby Lee. I saw he was on your show too.
Yeah, it was.
By the way, Bobby Lee's been invited to do my podcast multiple times.
Okay,
multiple times.
Well, you should get him on.
I'm gonna have to reach out to him.
Yeah, I feel like he is so.
I might have to fly to LA and hold his hand and drag him on a flight.
I think he just needs a real invitation.
He knows I love him. I call because there's been a lot of drama lately, and one of the things that happened was somehow or another my name got entered into this thing, and I don't want to get into it in too much detail, but I'm like, okay, I must call Bobby. And I called him and I said, listen, I don't know what kind of, I'm just hearing about this nonsense now, but I love you. I would never let anybody talk bad about you. I would never let anybody come on my show and talk bad about you. I think you're an awesome guy. I think you're incredibly talented. And I know that you have fear.
That for me was the biggest indication for me that clearly how they present the relationship between Brendan and Joe Rogan and Bryan and Joe Rogan isn't as how it is behind the scenes, for sure. Because he was very quick to, hey, make it clear, I'm not part of this nonsense. Don't believe what they're saying. I had no idea. They're using my name without my knowledge. Blah, 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 blah. And clearly that was him basically saying, I'm on your side, less so those guys' side. So that for me was also a very telling moment in history. And then my favorite moment, for me, my most favorite moment this year, for sure, the favorite moment this year. Guess which one it was? Guess. Okay, I'm going to tell you. It was the race. It was the race. The race for me was my most favorite moment because it encapsulates everything we love and adore about Brendan. Ego, hubris, lack of humility, lack of self-awareness, and over egging your skills. A lack of humility, right? Decency, all of these things that we know and love about the guy was on full display on here. Full display. Absolutely glorious.
Let's go, Chabot!
And I love Bryan Callen's face here, knowing full well that he was going to do this and fake an injury so he didn't have to lose. Absolutely crazy. So if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that put the bet out there, right, to begin with. But regardless, him and Chappelle get into a friendly bit of back and forth on the podcast. I'm faster than you. No, I'm faster than you. Let's put some money on it. But Brendan, in his kind of usual way, instead of just saying, no, I think I could beat you, he essentially says there's no chance this guy could beat me. No chance. And clearly, Chappelle being the far more athletic guy, the far younger guy is like, and also black, he's like, come on, man, I'm going to clearly beat you. So they decided to have a race. And this is the funny part about it, is that everybody on the Fire and the Kids subreddit, every single person was saying beforehand, I bet you any money he's going to fake an injury. He's going to fake an injury. He's going to make an excuse. No one believed it was even going to happen. He's going to make something up. He has to go on tour. He has to look after his kids. He's going to make up something. It essentially went down finally. And then when he decided to race, he then pretended he blew out both of his hamstrings. When if you've done any kind of athletics, if you've even run down the street in your neighborhood, you know what a blown hammy looks like. You know what happens when someone tweaks a muscle. You know what happens when someone cramps. And what we saw here was someone cramping, realizing they're losing, and then using it as an excuse to say they pulled their hammies. But he did not pull his hamstrings. And it's funny because when this happened, there was quite a few sports therapists, ex-athletes and stuff, people who got experience of it, people showing videos of other athletes when they get their hamstrings, when the hamstring actually does pop. And I've had a brief experience of it. The one thing that you do know when you're running and your hamstring pops, you stop. You can't hop. There is no forward locomotion, no forward movement whatsoever. You just stop. That's it. You stop. It's completely debilitating. The pain is excruciating. So the fact that he could run and hop as he's pulled his hamstrings,
let's go, Chappelle,
is legitimately an insult, because clearly he's got cramp. That's all it is cramp. But then he made it seem like he got his hamstring pulled. He took that horrendous, horrible picture of himself with his flipping crutches, pulling that weird face. The crutches looked like he borrowed them from his kids. He had a bandage on one leg only when he said he pulled both hamstrings. Absolutely horrible. He couldn't even give his co-host the flipping respect to say, hey, you won, good race, congratulations. He couldn't even give him that. He had to lie and make up a fib, make up an excuse, not even to give his friend the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, you had me there, man. Congratulations, you're way faster than me. No, I could have won, but I had an injury. It's like the quintessential thing about that guy in high school that says they could have been a professional football player if they didn't break their ankle. For me, that was quintessentially one of the most Brendan Shaw things I've ever seen in my life. An unnecessary lie, an unnecessary level of ego, and then you just get absolutely shamed for it. I absolutely love that moment. Then the final moment to play, and then we'll go into the recent stuff happened, and then we'll carry on, was this moment. Because I feel like, to me, this was peak Brendan Schaub again, because it was all self-inflicted. Because a lot of the things that he does, no, there are some things that he does where a lot of people, especially friends, no, so a lot of people, especially homeless cats and stuff, go out of their way to maybe dig through and pull out stuff and whatnot. Maybe, you know, stuff to do with DMs and all that can be a little bit shady when it comes to my opinion. But when it's stuff that's done in front of a camera, you can't exactly complain or get your knickers in a twist about, especially when you do it without any kind of care or any kind of any kind of care or respect for your partner back home. So this is a live stream that he did. You remember he did this live stream? Again, this is only 9 months ago, right? Remember he did this live stream? Well, I think it was for, what was it for? Was it for the Super Bowl or was it for boxing? I thought maybe boxing. I thought it was a Mike Tyson and shit. And they rented out this mansion somewhere in the Hollywood Hills, and they had this live streaming party where people behind, you know, enjoying themselves and then watching the show or the sport, whatever that was going on that day. And I guess they had this panning shot with a drone, it looks like, outside, looking at this amazing mansion, you know, overlooking the Hollywood Hills somewhere. And just Brendan's luck, Brendan's fucking horrible luck, right? At the same time, there's cameras. And again, this could have been any time in the party. This could have been any situation. But in the same time, this camera is steady watching the crowd. He somehow walks into frame and seemingly hands a note to a young lady that's at the party. Doesn't look like his wife, unfortunately. And the internet goes fucking crazy. this legitimately was one of the most Brendan things ever. And this, if I'm not mistaken, was also what led to, what's his name? The guy that's got the channel, fucking the one that's always nodding off on the benzos. This is what led to him getting that lawsuit and all this sort of malarkey. So this is a very iconic, you know, part of flipping Brendan Schaub history, especially for the past year. One absolute horrendous faux pas. Hold on. I got because you can't see it on here, right? But there's an arrow here that plays it. So it's over there. Let me get up with this. You see this? Look at this. This guy's got the worst luck in the world. Look at it. You see that? Absolutely wild, isn't it? You can't really sit too tough on this video because it's a bit grainy, but essentially he hands a lady a note somewhere around here, if I'm not mistaken. She does some like period type of face sort of thing, gets the number, and they keep it moving. But it's legitimately one of the most like Brendan things ever, right? Only his luck would have it that he'd be walking into frame handing somebody a flipping note. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Oh, it's so unfair. Honestly, man, some people are just cheating in peace and quiet, no one knowing what they're doing. But then some people have the unfortunate privilege of being a content creator where they get invited to these illustrious mansions to do these great little content bits and pieces and whatnot. And then it ends up turning into a flipping shit show because somebody decides to clip a part of you where you're essentially saying, hey, look at me doing this thing that I probably shouldn't be doing. It's legitimately one of the most funny things I've seen in a long time. But anyway, what can we do? Let's move on. So, what people saying here? Oh. What people saying? Uche, this is one of those scenarios where you got a question who took the time out to source this video, zoom in and find Schaub in the crowd doing it. Now, of course, for sure. But also, like I said, I think it's just his unfortunate luck, man. He has such a dedicated group of haters and people that legitimately want to see him burn. That's the thing that's funny, I think, with all locals. They have a segment of fans like myself who I'm just fascinated by the guy. He fascinates me. The fact that he exists, the fact that he's so lacking in self-awareness, the fact that he legitimately makes himself laugh despite him being terrible at what he does, despite that him being really shit at what he does, and all the material things that he has just makes no sense to me in my head, right? But it makes me laugh, it makes me smile. And like I said before, I always think, for me personally, Brendan Schaub for me is a perfect example of the American dream. Because despite all his shortcomings, he still managed to have a beautiful family, have a gorgeous house, drive great cars, have a career that a lot of people would want, right? All this kind of material things that he has, despite him being objectively bad at what he does. Like every indicator that you need to use to kind of measure if your stuff is good or not, he kind of fails at, apart from the views, right? But anything else in terms of sentiment and engagement, everyone says you're terrible, but he still manages to fucking keep it moving despite all those things. It's really kind of fascinating. But I find it really interesting how there's a part of local communities, you find it a lot with DSP. With DSP. You find a lot with DSP on Kiwi farms. There's a segment of local detractors who legitimately want to see the person like burn. They want to see him DIE. They want to see him lose everything. Like they hate them to that extent. And I think Brendan, unfortunately, because of his many faux pas and because he's severely like super, maybe he doesn't know this, but from an objective point of view, I can understand why some people would say he's extremely unlikable as a human. He's extremely unlikable. So I think because of that, You're going to have people who are going to really make it their mission to bring you down. If they can't bring you down career-wise, they're going to bring you down in terms of humility, in terms of how people look at you, in terms of your reputation, in terms of your standing, all these kind of things. And that's what someone did. Someone that really hated that guy was sitting on that live stream, just watching and waiting for that fucking Big Brown to kind of come into frame, and then like, oh, got ya. And some of those guys, if I'm not mistaken, when that happened, some of those people screenshotted that picture and was sending it to his wife and stuff, which I think is completely out of bounds and completely out of order and really, really horrible, to be honest. But he's kind of cultivated this fucking fan base of people that hate him so much that they're willing to do that to bring him down because they feel like he doesn't necessarily, what's that thing called? Appreciate what he has. Maybe I don't know what it is. There's something about him in general. But anyway, let's move on. Talking about his fan base and what they've done, the Fire in the Kid subreddit guys, somebody has put together a search engine, the Fire in the Kid search engine, where you can search for particular phrases and it brings you up different sort of, you know, episodes where you can check out when they said a certain word, a certain phrase. And I find it hilarious because this is like the Fire in the Kid version of Pig Pig Go. That's the one they use for Dark Side Phil, where you can search for certain words. And it's good for people like myself who make this kind of content because you can essentially use a search engine, search for a certain word, and you can make a, you know, put together a story that can kind of, you know, you can put together clips to basically, you know, back up a theory you have or something that you've kind of maybe noticed on other shows. But I thought one thing you could definitely notice is that a lot of people say that, you know, the Fire in the Kid guys, Bryan and Callen and Brendan Schaub, have an infatuation with male anatomy in terms of penises. So if you type in dick on this search engine, watch how much hits you get off this now. Definitely this is going to be more than 100. It has to be more than 100. Let's see. When you type in dick on this search engine, how many hits do we get on here? The Fire in the Kid search engine, created by somebody from the Fire in the Kid subreddit, absolute genius. Let's see how many hits we get. Is it going to load for me or is it going to take too long? Oh, exit. Okay, going to exit this page. Unfortunately, I have to reload it. Let's reload it and see what it says. But I'm curious to see how many hits we get for dick. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Come on. Come on. Nothing? Okay, maybe it's not working today. But it was working earlier. But in general, it does exist. That's another example of showing just how fervent and flipping ferocious the flipping community is there around, that somebody was willing to build this in their spare time and get it working. Clearly it's not working for me. Oh no, there it goes. It's finally working. Look at that. Look how many hits we get for dick on the Fire in the Kid search engine. Look at that. 1,280 results for the mention of dick. He'll just eat the dick. Does he eat the dick? What's that thing? I'm going to go into the township and get my dick. So why does it happen? Now is it dick pills? Dick pills. Dick pill. No dick pills. Dick pills. Nothing. Dick pills. Dick pills. Look how many mentions of dick we got in this flipping podcast. Bryan, get in the water. I'll suck your dick while you watch men compete in CrossFit. Look how much dick comes. Look. She's seen dicks, did I ever tell you? Dicks one day, dicks on the side of it start itching. Funguses on dicks one day, side of a dick. Another person here. I would scrub my dick. Finally, I went there. I would scrub my dick, side of my dick. I know dick. Find out about dick. Look how many dicks. She broke his dick. Oh my days. You know, what's that? Go into curved dick. Up the walls of her dick. Big dick. Found that dick. So many mentions of dick. Over 1,280 mentions of dick. Look at that. Look at this. Spring dick. Dick, 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 dick. So big up whoever put this together. It's an absolute barnstorm of a flipping search engine. I'll put it in the show notes for you guys to check out if you want to link to it yourselves and see it. But it's absolutely incredible. Some of it actually you have to be careful though, because I think some of it is in Shaub'S. So if I write dig, let's see what happens. like because Brenda doesn't pronounce things correctly, so maybe sometimes it can come up like that. So you have to kind of, you know, mess around with the word and the spelling. Someone said, we just said gay. Let's see how many mentions of gay they got in there. You got to just mess around with the wording and the spelling and stuff. But there are loads of weird mentions and pause of, oh, look how long it's taken. This is taking the same amount of time as dick, so it's going to come up with probably over 50,000 flipping drawbacks of gay on this. But the dick thing is absolutely insane. Okay, people are saying Dark Web Jay is saying, but the dick stuff is general white guy humor. They're true, but still, I think in terms of general humor, they do dick humor more than anybody. And it's not even like it feels like for me, the dick humor is like their safety net when they have nothing else to joke about. Okay, let's go back to the dicks. Whereas I feel like other people just, it's part of your content, part of your comedy, but you have other things that you can kind of use or you pull out of your arsenal. They just always run to the safety net. They run to the safe, warm embrace of that flipping, you know, flaccid or whatever it's called, right? People always call it. Look how many mentions of gay here. It was a gay fight, very gay, right? She's 7, he's not gay. Then I saw a gay club. Something gay, son being gay, gay. Look at this, look at that. Amazing. But yeah, big up the Fire and the Kids subreddit, big up all those guys on that flipping sub. Absolutely resourceful and talented people, and I think that search engine is absolutely wonderful, and I can't wait to see what comes of it, because I'm sure people are going to be able to piece together some cool pieces of content and make that work. So next thing to jump on quickly here is this. Let's talk about this quickly. So this is a clip taken from the Friday Kids subreddit. It's called Biological Primal Desires, and it features BRYAN CALLEN making some very, very interesting remarks around consent that look a bit dicey when you think about his recent allegations and the reason why he's been quote unquote cancelled. But this is BRYAN CALLEN in all his glory, talking about consent, talking about the R word. Enjoy.
Remember, rape for a long time was considered fun. And you're drunk as shit. And then you start having sex. And she's completely fucking obliterated. But you have sex anyway. Too. And you're a little fucked up too. I don't consider that rape. Should I go to jail for 30 years for rape versus when I take a woman and put my penis inside of her against her will? There is a difference. Yeah, and you're telling me, and now you're getting in the bedroom and saying I have to speak.
So is this sexual assault if after the show I go up and I grab MJ's boob? Is that sexual assault, or what would that be?
I don't believe that's sexual assault.
What would you call it?
I believe that would be
That's
inappropriate
assault, brother.
behavior. And then now she's saying that one time we had sex was rape because I didn't give my verbal consent. I just think that fucks with women who've really been raped, man.
For me, the funny thing about this, the thing that really makes me laugh is the fact that he was willing to die on this kind of consent hill. And I remember him doing this before, where he used to go on these really unhinged rants around consent, around cancel culture. I think this might have been around a time when Matt Damon said that thing where I think when the first cases of Me Too were coming out, there was a lot of stories of people essentially, you know, basically what you would deem to be sexual misconduct. Well, I don't know, touching someone's bum or something without their permission or something on those kind of lines. And I guess in the first sort of like, you know, really divisive reaction, or no, the very visceral reaction when the first Me Too cases were coming out, there were some women that were so angry and so flipping, you know, hateful and went to get the revenge on men and stuff, and were just kind of chucking as many charges of people as possible to kind of just bury them because of the pain that they were feeling and what they were going through. Some of them were just talking out of emotion, and some of them were labeling the guys that were touching somebody's bum in the same category as somebody that did the R word in terms of rape, right? And BRYAN would be going really hard on it and being, no, that's not the same thing, blah blah blah. And I remember at the same time that Matt Damon said something similar, where he said, oh, we need to have a differentiate between, you know, when somebody does something untoward and somebody legitimately tries to physically pin you down and, you know, whatever it may be. And that was a conversation around that sort of time. But Matt Damon kind of got cancelled and kind of got told to shut up and stuff and mind his business, and he never said anything again. But that was around the same sort of time. But Bryan Callen's reaction to it was a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more high-pitched, a little bit more passionate than Matt Damon. I thought Matt Damon was more sort of a societal observation. Hey, let's just relax. Let's not deem everybody that, you know, maybe has a bad date with somebody as a rapist. Maybe they're a creep. Maybe they don't have manners, maybe they don't have any game, but they're not a rapist, that kind of idea. But Bryan went the extra step. Now looking back at it, it makes me think, did he know all that time? Because, you know, a lot of those journalists, a lot of those hit pieces that they put out, especially the one that they put out against Bryan Callen in the Los Angeles Times, where they interviewed 4 of his alleged accusers, they had to interview those people, they had to cross-reference a lot of the flipping, a lot of the evidence that was kind of provided to them, some of the names and dates and whatnot. So I'm sure they kind of went to him for comment. So I wonder if he knew from ages ago that there was this bubbling sentiment or hit piece that was going to be written about the comedy scene or people involved in the comedy store, him specifically, and he was trying to preemptively get in front of it in a weird way, because it now makes a lot of sense. Because I remember back then I was thinking, why is this guy talking so passionately and really trying to defend the right of men who get involved in dicey kind of situations with women? Why is he so passionate about it if he hasn't done it himself? Like, why does he care? And the fact that now it's transpired that he got accused of what he got accused of is making me think he might have known all along that this day of reckoning was coming. Or maybe that was just his subconscious screaming and trying to save himself before something happened, or to kind of plead his case, because he knew he had some very, you know, dicey, almost borderline cases in his book, because maybe he has a kink, maybe he has something, I'm not too sure, but there's something definitely there. But I also find it hilarious also that off the back of this, we never really heard any kind of explanation. I know maybe it's not the best thing to do, you don't want to shine more light on it, especially if you think you're innocent, but I just find that interesting off the back of it. Like, we heard a very detailed account from the accusers as to what went down, why they didn't like it, why it made him feel uncomfortable, but you never really got a response from him in terms of explaining his side of the story. Hey, I know this is what you thought of the situation, but this is how I saw it from my side. I'm sorry I went out. I mean, we never really got that kind of a clear up on it or anything, and he kind of moved on and didn't really address it too much, which makes me believe there might have been some truth to it, especially when you read some of the comments about him saying that, you know, you'll be my, I think there's some screenshots from the flipping video actually that said, you know, you're gonna be my girlfriend now or something. It sounds like this stuff that he will say, you know, like this screenshot. So I said, I'm Catherine, it's me, please. This is not what I wanted to do right now. And he's like, you're going to love this. We're just going to get this out of the way. You're going to love this. You're going to be my girlfriend. These are things that he said in a joke on the podcast, right? Not to be like, you know, not to kind of bury the dude, but he said it out of his own mouth in terms of bits. So it kind of sounds like stuff that he would have done in the past. But I wonder, man, I wonder if he knew back then. Maybe not about the article. Maybe he was kind of him, and saying, or maybe it was just him feeling guilty about the things he maybe have done, having a skeleton in the closet, went to get in front of it. But so weird, isn't it? I find it very, very interesting that that was a thing that happened, a moment in history that we never really got any kind of clarification as to what actually went down. Like I said before, you don't want to probably bring more light to it, so he's never going to really publicly address it. But I find that ultimately super, super fascinating that it was never really publicly addressed and kind of just left to kind of move on. But hey, what can you do? Next, I want to quickly play this clip taken from Chris D'Elia's recent episode of his podcast, Congratulations. And it made me think in general, because I think on the recent episode of what people saying here, I think what people saying in the chat, Bryan saying, yeah, Callen has several skeletons. Collier saying Callen's also been getting fed up and going in on Rogan lately. Oh, really? Has it? Callen's been going in on Rogan? When? Was that the Destiny video you guys keep talking about? Was it the... Which one is Callen going in on Rogan? Is it the one on Bryan Callen's channel, or is it the one on Destiny's channel? Because there's 2 videos. I'll actually check it out and I'll maybe clip it and do it on the next stream. Okay, I'm going to check that out now. Thanks for that Collier, I appreciate you. Collier also said Callen has been written about doing kinky things by Neil Strauss, and he must have signed off on being mentioned in the books. Oh yeah, true. Good point. Callen did used to hang around with Neil Strauss back in the day, innit? Even back during the game days and stuff. Very good point. That's deep lore, actually, the Neil Strauss connection. It continues here, which is funny considering all the stuff he's done. He's never had any accusations against him. He just wrote that book and bagged his baddie from time ago and just disappeared into Hollywood Hills, enjoying his millions. You don't really see him out too much anymore. That part got to me with how everyone could picture Bryan saying it exactly. He was just saying, I can't imagine Callen trying to assert dominance in the bedroom and be taken seriously, so I guess rape was his only option for sure. He definitely wrote that lady. Callen is also about how jokes go over Rogan's head lately. Okay, cool. I'm definitely going to check that Destiny clip out because I saw it. I was thinking, rotted. Destiny's definitely getting himself out and about there. I wonder if they spoke about his allegations actually, or about counterculture in general. I wonder. But I'm definitely going to check it out for sure and see what the vibe is, because I'd like to hear what Bryan has to say about Joe, because I said it from the start. I said it from minute one. I don't expect Joe to come out and, you know, publicly advocate or make excuses for Bryan Callen for the R-word charge, don't get me wrong, but I did find it really weird how Joe Rogan was the bastion and the fucking freedom fighter for being anti-cancel culture. Then once it hits his own doorstep and it's his own friends getting cancelled, he suddenly turns into a mute. He has nothing to say. When it was somebody that he was kind of associated with and didn't really know from afar, in terms of Louis C.K., he was talking about that ad nauseum, mate. He was speaking about that Louis C.K. thing until the cows came home. It was so tiring and boring after a while. But as soon as it affected people within his own orbit, and Crystalia, Bryan Callen, and whoever else, he then suddenly clammed up and didn't want to talk about it anymore, and he kind of basically pretended like those guys don't exist. And for the most part, Chris has never been back. You know, Bryan went back as part of the fight companion, but essentially has been absolutely mute on them. So I'd love to hear what Callen has to say on that regard, because publicly Rogan did completely distance himself from Callen. It was probably advantageous that he was moving to Austin anyway, but I felt like he did make a concerted effort to make sure he wasn't near him in any kind of public way whatsoever, so it could look like an endorsement, which makes sense also because at the back of that, if I'm not mistaken, at the same time Callen was getting cancelled was the same time that the same time Callen was getting cancelled, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the same time that Rogan was going through his horse tranquilizer ivermectin thing. Do you remember when people were trying to cancel Callen from Rogan for not taking a vaccine and doing kettlebell swings and taking flipping ivermectin and shit, and saying that he goes in the sauna? I think it was around the same sort of time. So, and you know, I don't think his deal was gonna be cancelled with Spotify, but it felt like the mainstream media were really trying their hardest to get Joe Rogan out of here. So around that same time, for him to suddenly go out and start fighting Bryan Callen's battles was probably not the best idea. So I don't blame him for maybe keeping his counsel and just shutting his mouth and letting things play out the way they did. I don't really blame him in the slightest. I don't blame him in the slightest. Let's go on. Lone Wolf. What do you mean, do I mind? What do you think? Do you think I care? Do you think I mind? Really? Look at me. Look at me. You think I mind? Me? Come on, man. I like to have a good time. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I don't care what it is. Snake antidote, rat medicine. If it gets me high, I'm going for it. If it gets me going, I am going for it. Trust me, I'm going for it. But yeah, let's move on. Let me not talk about my fondness for the substance. Anyway, so this clip is of Crystalia on his podcast, Congratulations, and he's talking about his recent success, and it got me thinking. Crystalia got me thinking. Why is Crystalia doing the Golden Hour podcast? Why is Crystalia subjecting himself to the horrors that is Brendan Schaub? Why he sat next to that CTE-ridden, you know, drunk at 9 a.m. guy when he could be doing bigger and brighter things? Why? the reason why he's doing it is obviously because he's still recovering from his allegations of whatever, diddling, whatever it may be. So clearly he's not in the best place to kind of, you know, call his own shots or to be back out there under the bright spotlights of Hollywood, enjoying himself at premieres and whatnot. He kind of has to sludge it with all the normal people. But if what Chris D'Elia is saying is correct, it seems like his career is getting back to where it was prior, especially when it comes to stand-up. So I'm thinking to myself, my prediction, what I said earlier, where I think Chris D'Elia may be the first person to leave the Golden Hour podcast, may come true if what he's saying is true.
Sleep, and that is why you traveled the day before, because I would have missed both of my banging ass shows, and 6,100 of you would have been sad as shit. And dude, let me tell you something, man. I put that 100 in there, 6,100, because I tell people how many tickets I sell. Dude, I found out comedians be lying about their ticket sales. For real. That's crazy, dude. We're all very fortunate to do what we do for a living. There's no reason to lie about that. I go to sleep.
If this man is selling 6,100 tickets post-DIDDLING, let's rewind that again. If this man is moving 6,100 tickets post-DIDDLING allegations, he's the truth. He legitimately is the truth. If that's the case. If he can do that post-cancellation with no big agency behind him, with no big network behind him, no Hollywood power players behind him, and essentially off the strength of his own podcast, his own network, that is powerful, bruv. That is powerful. He is legitimately like at the top of his game again. He's back where he was before. Don't get me wrong. Maybe the Hollywood thing is done and dusted. He may never be in a Marvel flipping movie or whatnot, on a Disney thing. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But in terms of going back to the top of stand-up, he essentially is there already at the moment, right? If he decides to put out a special or to go on a nationwide tour, he might sell out a majority of those venues. It's legitimately crazy to see. Like, to see this on a big level. And it makes me think, how long will he put up with being on the Golden Hour? How long will he put up with Brendan repeating back his jokes? How long would he put up with Brendan putting his finger in his face and touching him, which he clearly doesn't like? He's one of those kind of, every guy or every person has that, friend in your social group who doesn't like a rough house, who doesn't like touching, who doesn't like that kind of banter. It just annoys them. And he's that guy. He legitimately pains his soul when somebody tries to roughhouse him and push him around and touch him and shit. And Brendan clearly, because he's not the best at kind of articulate himself, whenever he feels like he doesn't have nothing funny to say, he starts doing the funny touch, like, oh, see, that's a kind of like the Chad kind of like jock sort of thing, right? Pulling down someone's trousers, sticking your finger in your ear. But Chris doesn't move with that whatsoever. So how much is somebody going to take? If I'm selling 6,000 tickets, there's no way that I'm sitting next to you and having you flipping, lick your finger and stick it in my ear. That's not something I'm going to tolerate. Now, if I'm flipping Chappelle Lacey and I've got no career aspirate, or no, I'm at the beginning of my career, especially when he was co-hosting The Fire and the Kid and Brendan was sticking his finger in his mouth, maybe you have to take that because he's helping you book shows on the weekend. He's helping you pay your rent. He's helping you get on certain lineups. Even though I wouldn't do that, I would never sell myself that short, not in a million years, especially what it looks like optically, this white man sticking his flipping finger down your face. But if you're Chris D'Elia and you're moving 6,000 tickets, you can't, in good conscience, willingly sit next to Brendan. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And if he does end up being the first person to leave the Golden Hour, it's going to be so painful. Because I feel like Thea Vaughn leaving King and the Sting was one thing, but I felt like King and the Sting was already dead before Chris D'Elia turned up and Eric turned up. I feel like the premise of the show already kind of was somewhat dead in the water, because I felt like at some point Brendan didn't really like getting insulted too much. I felt like the premise of it was for him to get ripped and for them to have fans send in submission so they could rip. It was a kind of like a roasting show, but I felt like after a while Brendan got bored of being roasted or didn't like being roasted because he's so thin-skinned, and the premise of the show changed. It just turned into a podcast essentially where they just review, you know, topical topics and stuff and do some fan submission sort of stuff, but it wasn't necessarily the whole vibe of it. And then when Chris turned up, that was basically what the situation was. So when Theo left, even though it was heartbreaking for Brendan, I don't think it was bad as it kind of looked, because the show was already dead. Obviously for the views it was terrible, but the premise of the show is dead. If Crystalia leaves the golden hour, that show is completely finished. Who do you replace Crystalia with? The show is done. You're not going to get Josh Wolf, right, to flipping replace Crystalia. It doesn't work. Like, the reason why it works now is because Chris and Eric have really good comedic chemistry and whatnot. They bounce off each other really well. They got good timing. They know how to roast each other, and obviously the common denominator is getting at Brendan as well. That kind of works. But if Chris leaves, that show might as well get cancelled, really, for the most part. And I think it probably will, especially if this guy is able to sell 6,000 tickets post underage girl allegation stuff, because that is powerful. That's real mark. That, for me, what it also proves to Chris is that either his fans don't really care of the allegations, his fans are critical thinkers and were able to pass through the information themselves and think, you know what, even though it looks sus, because I think for the most part, if you really go down to the detail of the allegations, what people were alleging was that he was a terrible cheeky link, right? He didn't really have good manners. He kind of, you know, smashed them and dashed them, and he also seemed to have a liking for girls who just turned over age, which isn't exactly diddling, is it? If you're into girls that are significantly younger than you, they're a particular age range, it's not exactly diddling, but it is weird, it is creepy. So maybe his fans were like, you know what, that's not necessarily that bad. Or maybe his fans just don't know, because maybe he might be that big of a comic where the allegations didn't really go that far to them. It was just like, yeah, whatever. They didn't really hit as much as people think they did. I don't really know, but I just think it's really impressive, to be honest, that he's still able to command that level of ticket, because it shows that he's got that Louis C.K. type of fan base where they're going to ride for him regardless, and they like what he does. Especially, you have to think also, I think I mentioned it previously somewhere where I was saying, like, you have to think also that he does, especially the podcast, he does it basically by himself, right? This podcast says congratulations. Similar to Bill Burr, it's not really guest heavy. It's just him ranting and raving into the mic, doing some funny bits here and there, and he still is able to command a pretty decent amount of people to watch it and to engage with it, right? 50 to 150,000, I guess, views all the time on his podcasts. Decent amount of views, decent amount of endorsement. Like, he's doing pretty well for himself, all things considered. Like, no hate on the guy. You can't hate. It's legitimately impressive how he's been able to do it, especially when you assume the allegations against him, there was some merit to it. There's always been a history or kind of a law around him, always being a bit of a ladies' man in general. So it's not like he was completely innocent, right, of wanting, you know, to have his flipping winky wink dipped and tiddled and stuff. Clearly, he's a man of the people when it comes to that sort of stuff. But clearly as well, people love him in terms of that and able to kind of look past it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just find that super impressive. And I also think, like I said before, that's definitely a mark for me that he for sure, 1,000,000% sure, won't be on this flipping Golden Pony show any longer, in my opinion. I don't think so. I don't think you can sell that amount of tickets and still be happy to sit next to flipping Brendan. I don't think that works that way. It really doesn't work that way. I don't think so. You only do that when you have no career prospects at the beginning, which he clearly didn't. But now, if you're able to sell that amount of tickets, it doesn't make any sense why you sit next to him. As you can see here, the guy's booked and busy already, heading into the new year. Look at that. Every weekend it looks like. Book. Let's look at the first show in January. Let's see if there's got any tickets. How many tickets? What did he sell his tickets for here? Because I think this is really impressive, bro, that he's still able to command this amount of attention flipping post-diddling accusations. This is quite impressive, right? Quite impressive. And also maybe it's an indication that in general cancel culture doesn't matter or care. No one gives a shit, especially if people think you're good enough and talented. You know, it is what it is. So what's the main show? I guess the main show would be would it be 9:30 or be 7? I say 9:30 because people want to have a drink, hang out, maybe go to the bar after, or not, I don't know. Maybe let's do 9:30. Tickets are going between $56 to $195. Oh my God. Guys, look at this. An event on January 7th. We're at the 2nd of December today. And this auditorium, I'm not sure how many people it seats. But look at the lack of tickets they have available here before this flipping thing goes down. The tickets available are only the blue dots. This is the only thing that's available right now. Wow. Wow. Look at that. 21 tickets available there. 15 available there. 22 there. All of those have been occupied for a date from the 1st, or was it 2nd of January? 7th of January. That is fucking impressive. Let's go for the 7 p.m. listing. Or 7 p.m. is completely sold out, I guess. No, that's 7 p.m. We'll look at 7 p.m. Okay, let's go for 9:30. Let's see what 9:30 is saying. That is incredibly impressive. Health advisory. Okay, yes. What's this? Entry requirements. You must be over the age of 18. Holy shit. Okay, the second time they got more tickets available here. 100 plus there, 13 there, 100 plus there, but that's still an impressive amount that he sold already for a 7th of January date on those 2 dates. Fucking A, innit? Jesus Christ. What's that? Balboa Theater in San Diego. I see what the capacity is there. Balboa Theater, San Diego capacity. Come on. Nah, this guy's the truth, mate. He might be the truth. He might be the truth. And I said before, when I say another pod, I said before, I'm not really a fan of his stand-up. When I saw him at the Laugh Factory, I kind of got it. He's somebody for sure you see in person. He doesn't come across great on camera. I think his stand-up specials for the most part are pretty forgetful. There might be some good bits here and there, but they're not the greatest. But I think seeing him in person perform on stage, you kind of get it. But he's still way funnier on a podcast than he is on stage, in my opinion, still. I think a lot of those LA guys are unfortunately like that. But this motherfucker is selling 1,000 or moving 1,400 tickets. There's no way he's going to be sitting next to flipping Brendan Schaub any longer. You know, inhaling his fucking tiger piss, flipping whiskey scent as he's sitting next to him, flipping, you know, bemoaning his life choices. It doesn't make any sense. So my prediction is, as per usual, bit of a hard prediction to put out there, but I'm gonna say I don't think Chris lost until the summer when it comes to the Golden Hour podcast. I don't think it's happening. The summer he's out. That's my humble opinion. I think the summer coming up he's out. But again, I could be wrong. What people saying in the chat, we're just gonna have a hell of a time with CALLEN, and did they leave? You guys attack them. Okay, you guys are arguing about Crystalia. Fair play. No, but I get it, man. It's a hard one to wrangle because I guess if you're somebody that's really ardently against diddling and stuff, and you actually do see him as somebody that is a diddler, it's hard to kind of wrangle that thing. But the reality is, man, the people speak in it, and if these fans are willing to separate themselves for their money to buy tickets to see your show, clearly there's something there. And I guess a lot of them, because the spell you have to imagine as well, that's the other bit, that's a bit of a mindfuck with Crystalia. I feel like he's one of the only stand-up comedians, especially within that LA comedy scene, who has a very female heavy fan base. Like, he's got a lot of women fans, and not only girls that want to fuck, but like women in general seem to kind of gravitate towards Crystalia. So you'd imagine those women would be a little bit more sensitive to allegations of diddling, especially when it involves teenage girls. So if they're able to somehow pass through the noise and the information and come to some kind of, you know, conclusion that maybe he didn't do what he did, might say a lot about them than him. I'm not too sure, but that's the bit that really puzzles and interests me in that regard. He's got a lot of female fans, They all saw the news, you'd imagine. So what happened? Because he went radio silent for like a year. So clearly they were aware of what happened, because they must have searched and wondered where their content creator was, or where their comedian it was that they liked was, and then maybe read up on some history about it. And obviously the court documents are out there if you want to check it out, blah blah blah. So the fact that they were able to put that to one side is very interesting. And I guess my overall point of it is like, I guess there's not really been a lot of, I think because they all hang around each other, you kind of think they're all on the same level. Does that make sense? You think they're all on the same level in terms of how big they are. But I guess when it comes to touring and ticket sales, you see who the actual big dogs are in their circle. Even though some of them try and act like they're big dogs, when it comes to selling actual tickets, you see who the big dogs are. And they're kind of the same names: the Burt Kreischer's, the Tom Segura's, the Theo Vaughn's, the Chris D'Elia's, right? These are the guys that actually are selling out places when they go on road, and you don't really realize it because you feel like they're all on the same level. When really, you know, Chris D'Elia probably sells 2, 3, 4 times more tickets than Brendan Schaub does. But Brendan Schaub, the way he goes on, you'd think he fucking, you know, sells 100,000 tickets every weekend that he goes out, when he doesn't really. And he plays in smaller places, in bars and comedy clubs and whatnot. He's not actually playing in fucking theaters every single weekend because he's not going to be able to fill them. So clearly, that guy has got something about him that people like, clearly. Anyway, so let's continue. I thought the Alex Pereira stuff with Brendan was absolutely hilarious, because again, another indication, another reflection of just how bad Brendan is viewed by current UFC fighters. It feels like a lot of them do go on his show, but I feel like a lot of them go on his show. The Food Truck Diaries is like a promotional press run thing. You know, the UFC, most people know the UFC pays like shit. So clearly a lot of these fighters need any promotion that they can get to kind of get their name out there and whatnot. And appearing on Food Truck Diaries, especially if it's not going to cost you anything and you're getting flown out there, is probably a net positive. So a lot of them go on there just because they want to go in, or maybe because they think it's going to help them get on Rogan, who knows. But when it comes to sentiment, when it comes to people actually having good things to say about the guy outside of that show, or come into his defense, you don't really see it a lot, innit? You don't see it at all in the slightest. And I think this Alex Pereira stuff was a definitely good indication of it. So this is a courtesy of MMA Fighting. Alex Pereira proposes a bet to Brendan Schaub since he wants to run his mouth for a potential fight with Khamzat Chimaev. Absolutely crazy, right? And if you remember, this is what Brendan Schaub said. On the Schaub show, following UFC 281, the former UFC heavyweight dove into the fight between Pereira and Chimaev would look like. This is off the back of Pereira obviously knocking out Israel Adesanya in the last round of that championship fight. He said as following. Where is it? Yes, it's it. This is Brendan's response after that. He said, Khamzat tweeted out, "I'll fight at 185. I'll be your champ." Now, if the UFC wanted Khamzat to be the big superstar 70-85er, your next fight is going to be Khamzat Chimaev v Alex Pereira, Schaub said. Khamzat beats the shit out of him. He mops the floor with him again. Like, look at the words that Brendan uses to describe this fight. Khamzat beats the shit out of him. He mops the floor with him. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Alex. It's all about matchups and styles, and that's a complete nightmare for him. So off the back of Alex Pereira winning that fight, right, a very hard, toughly contested fight, a fight where he nearly got knocked out himself, being able to absorb all those flipping punches and whatnot from Israel Adesanya and be able to pull it out of the bag in the last round because he was going to definitely lose on points. He was able to grab the victory from the jaws of defeat and, you know, knock out his nemesis from prior kickboxing days and clearly kind of show his prowess in the octagon, especially when you consider his power and his size and whatnot. So to say that he's going to absolutely get mollywopped by Khamzat Chimaev off the back of that victory, you're kind of insulting him. You're essentially saying he's a fake champion, and if he faces anybody with decent wrestling, which, you know, Israel Adesanya unfortunately doesn't have, even though he took, you know, Alex Pereira down pretty easily and did what he wanted to him on the floor for the most part, he's basically saying that if he faces anyone with half decent wrestling, he's going to get absolutely beaten and mop the floor with. So quite brutal and stinging words from Brendan, right? You would imagine towards somebody that's just won a belt, especially when you're a former fighter, you'd be a little bit more, you know, careful with your words. So I guess word got back to fucking Alex Pereira, the scary big motherfucker, and he wasn't so happy about it whatsoever, as you can imagine. So let's play the video with, where is it? Let's play the video of Alex Pereira responding to Brendan Schaub, and then we're going to play Brendan Schaub's response to it also, because I thought this was absolutely incredible. But look at Alex Pereira. How do you look scarier with a beard? He already looks freakishly scary when he's in the octagon, right? When he's clean shaven with no hair or anything, but he legitimately looks scarier with a bit of stubble. He's got proper dead eye behind him, innit? Those eyes are that they've seen a lot of pain, they've seen a lot of struggle, they've seen a lot of hardship. He just keeps persevering. That guy looks lethal, just by the look of him, like legitimately lethal. Yeah, let's play the video. This is Alex Pereira, and I guess his coach sat down with Ariel Helwani here. Who's he with? What's the other guy's name? They got on the show notes there. I don't have his name, man. It doesn't matter. Let's continue. I think it's one of his coaches.
Em Rio, no residência. Se ele aceitar essa... É que eu tô falando, no meio pesado, pode casar no Rio. Mesmo, pô, vou lutar praticamente machucado com ele, entendeu? Porque, cara, eu vou lutar praticamente machucado. No Rio, meio pesado, se essa luta acontecer. E outra, tem um cara, como é? Brandon Schaub.
Brandon Schaub?
Falou um cara, como é? Acontecer.
You know what I love about Brazilian fighters, especially in the UFC or Brazilian, martial arts in general? I love when they don't speak English, they communicate in Brazilian Portuguese like the person can understand them. So he's talking about it with such passion and aggression. And when he mentions leading up to Brendan Schaub's name, you can already see the disgust and the anger in his face already building.
E outra, tem um cara, como é? Brandon Schaub.
Brandon Schaub?
He doesn't even want to even say his name, Brent, whatever.
Algumas besteiras, né? É Zé Ruela. Lá no Brasil a gente chama de Zé Ruela. No programa do Verdun ele chama de cu de cachorro. Cu de cachorro. No Brasil nós chamamos de Zé Ruela. E eu faço até um desafio pra ele. Cu de cachorro. No Brasil nós chamamos de Zé Ruela.
Não.
E eu faço...
Brandon Schaub?
Falou algumas besteiras, né? Zé Ruela. Lá no Brasil a gente chama de Zé Ruela. No programa do Verdun.
Whatever that word is, Quella, it's not a good word. Clearly not a good word, because his coach or the guy next to him started chuckling and started smirking under his face. That's not a very polite word. It's not awesome guy, let's tell you that.
Ele chama de cu de cachorro. Cu de cachorro. No Brasil nós chamamos de Zé Ruela. E eu faço até um desafio para ele, né? Se ele quiser apostar comigo na vitória, $50 mil para fazer doação para criança carente. Ou dois tipos de aposta. Ou se ele falou também que o Shimaev me colocaria para baixo em 30 segundos. Se ele conseguir me colocar em 30 segundos para baixo, mais $50 mil para fazer doação para criança carente. Okay. Number one, even injured, he said he'll fight Shimaev in Rio at light heavyweight.
Wow.
Right? Not a problem for him. Number two, Brandon Schaub, I think he was running his mouth.
Uh-oh.
They're not even going to translate.
What do you say?
Like,
I gotta hear
kind
this.
Of the a-hole shit.
This is incredible. He was talking shit?
Yeah, but basically, Brandon, I think he say that, talk a lot of crap that Shimaev will run him over and blah, blah, blah.
God.
And also he say that he'll be able to take Alex down in 30 seconds.
Shimaev will take him down?
Yes.
Why is he watching Brendan Schaub videos, by the way?
No, he don't, but people just...
Ariel, I love you, man. You're the best. He didn't miss opportunity. He did not miss an opportunity.
Shimaev will take him down?
Yes.
Why is he watching Brendan Schaub videos, by the way?
No, he don't, but people just...
Oh, send it to him, okay. What are we done here?
So this the deal.
What are we doing here?
He'll fight Shimaev in Rio, regardless of being injured or not, at 205. And he proposed to do a bet with Schaub. He said, he ran out his mouth, $50,000 if he beat Shimaev. We both go, and those $50K from both sides, we donate to kids in need. Also, 50 more that do not take him down in 30 seconds. And we double those 50 to donate for the charity.
Oh my gosh.
E outra, é pra ele, pro podcast, pro cara do podcast, lá que eu não sei o nome dele, e pro Chimaev também. Qualquer um dos dois que quiser aceitar a aposta, tô disposto. Doação para criança carente.
Bora on to shop, but Chimaev too. If you want to jump on the bet train, let's bet.
The funny thing about this is that the anger and the frustration that Alex Pereira has is incredibly justified, right? No one can sit here and not say he's not justified in his anger of what Brendan said, because there's one thing to say, I think Khamzat would win, right? A lot of people who watched that fight, myself included, were saying, oh, you know what? If Alex Pereira faces somebody who with better grappling, who doesn't necessarily just want to stand there and strike all day, he might have an issue. But clearly, if you get too close to him and he touches you with his left hand or his right hand, you're going to go to sleep. So it's not as if you can just take him down at will and do what you want, because you have to get close to him. And to get close to him, you might get banged in the face. But everybody had the same kind of reaction when he won. He's clearly somebody that, you know, has his holes in his flipping skill set that he needs to maybe plug. We still haven't seen him against a real high level guy in terms of a wrestler, grappler, whatever it may be. But it's the way that Brendan said it, especially being a former fighter, knowing how sensitive fighters are, especially off the back of a victory. To say Khamzat's gonna beat the shit out of him and mop the floor with him is aggressive talk. It's like you hate the guy. And it's funny too, because I guess this comes off the back of him maybe betting big on Izzy. So he probably lost a lot of money on Adesanya losing, which is funny also because Brendan wasn't too hot on Israel Adesanya in the beginning also, and he kind of got, you know, he kind of started jumping on the hype train and becoming his nut hugger, when clearly he was a special talent and displayed it and defended the belt a few times and looked incredible in the octagon. Then he suddenly started to flipping jack him off, and because he lost the bet and maybe his favorite fighter at that moment kind of lost, now he decided to go to his next guy, who is now joking, being Khamzat Chimaev, and now using him as a person to kind of beat over the head when it comes to his Pereira and kind of dismissing his abilities and what he's basically done. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious how the amount of visceral anger and rage Alex Pereira had towards Brendan, especially when you consider he's a former UFC heavyweight, he's been in that octagon, he's walked the walk, he's done the training. You'd think there'd be a little bit more good sentiment with him and with fighters, but it feels like unless they're doing Food Truck Diaries and stuff, no one actually has a good word to say about the guy in the slightest. So let's see Brendan Schaub's response to this, which is very telling, because the funny thing about this is that now, I don't know why they're doing this on the show, but it seems like whenever there's a controversial thing that happens in media that Brendan has to respond to, or something that the detractors and the trolls and the haters or the PF Chang or homeless cats are flipping talking about, it seems like now they discuss it before the show, and Bryan Callen basically acts as Brendan's defense lawyer and kind of sets him up to explain himself and, you know, basically divulge why he thought this way and said a certain thing this way. They're doing this weird thing where they're setting each other up with little segments to kind of defend each other. It's very bizarre. It's very weird, and they're trying to pretend like it's all kind of, you know, spontaneous and sporadic. So this is a good example of it. Brendan now here is pretending like this is the first time he's heard Alex Pereira reply on the Ariel Helwani show, when you know quite clearly he has seen it as soon as it came out, because he's on his phone as much as we are. We're on our phone all day. He's on his phone all day. So the fact that he's pretending he only saw it right now is legitimately embarrassing and cringe. But hey.
And I sent it to your phone. Check your phone.
All right.
Look, I've been getting. I got this.
Is this gonna be terrible?
You were talking about Khamzat Chimaev
talking
beating
shit.
Alex Pereira. I'll never know how to say his name. And as you know, I've already won $5,000 putting my money on Pereira.
I've already lost $5,000.
All due respect to the great Israel Adesanya, but Pereira is just a monster. Now the question is, I know that we don't know what Pereira's wrestling's about. He's been wrestling with the great Glover Teixeira.
He's got his brown belt.
That's a big deal.
It's not wrestling, but yeah.
Okay, so Khamzat Chimaev, obviously you were betting on Khamzat. You said Khamzat would.
I said if they fight,
it's a bad
Khamzat
matchup.
would take him down within 30 seconds and beat him.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying he beats him in 30 seconds.
Big up Mr. Singh. I love you too, brother.
Please,
without a doubt, Khamzat takes him down.
But please.
Now I'll say I'm exaggerating 30 seconds, but Khamzat takes him down.
Yes.
And I think Khamzat beats him.
Yes.
That's not a disrespect to the champ, Alex Pereira.
Let's go back to what he said. Again, Khamzat beats the shit out of him, mops the floor with him. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Alex. This is disrespectful. I'm sorry. I don't care how you say it. Saying this to a fighter who just won a belt is disrespectful. Beats the shit out of him and mops the floor with him is disrespectful. I'm sorry. I don't care which way you turn it and make it seem as it's disrespectful. But let's continue.
Stylistically,
let's just watch.
Khamzat is a nightmare for him.
Let's watch let me watch this. Let's watch this clip. I want to get.
Now, who's the fella who's not keto? Then?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know who he is.
So this is from
Maybe
MMA Fighting's Twitter.
This just happened?
Oh, look at that little insult he threw out there. Who's the guy that's not keto? Look at his face. I love this acting from Brendan is fucking god level. Let's watch his acting. Let's watch this acting. This is like the acting of like those TikTokers that do those fake pranks.
I guess it's just
This is
And obviously he's got the nicotine patch thing in his mouth, but also I've noticed whenever he gets nervous, he's got a little tail. When he feels awkward and whatever, you know, weird, he does this chewing thing on the side of his mouth. Like it's a little weird tail he does. You see a lot in the Bobby Lee debacle when he went on Tiger Belly and he tried to talk about, you know, the fucking documents and shit. You see him doing that a lot.
Se ele aceitar essa. Aqui, tô.
And it's from Ariel's show, MAR.
No meio pesado, pode casar.
The first thing I thought he was going to do was say something about Portuguese, like, "Can you speak in English? English, please." Sometime I thought he was going to say something incredibly xenophobic, but you know, credit him for keeping that locked.
No Rio mesmo, pô, vou estar praticamente machucado com ele, entendeu? Porque, cara,
It's a big dude.
Handsome guy.
Which one?
Pereira.
Oh.
A man.
Look at him. He's taking a couple pot shots at that trainer, that big dude. Right? He's taking a couple pot shots at him. Funny, interesting.
All man.
They're both all man.
Yeah.
Brenda Schaub.
Oh, Brendan Schaub. Says Brendan Schaub. Oh, jeez.
Falou alguma besteira, né? É Zé Ruela. Lá no Brasil a gente chama de Zé Ruela. No programa do Verdun ele chama de.
Why are they paying attention to what I say?
No Brasil nós chamamos de Zé Ruela.
Oh, we can't.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dylan. Dylan said that's a good point. Didn't think about that. Dylan B. I think Brendan really resents fighters nowadays because they get so much more attention than he ever got. Yeah, there's something about the way he's. Personally, for me, this is just my own personal opinion. I don't think he likes UFC. Not in the way that he talks about it or the way that he covers it. I don't think it's something that brings him enjoyment. It's not something he looks forward to. It's something that he has to do as a job because he did it as a career for a short period of time, but he doesn't enjoy covering the UFC. He doesn't enjoy watching the full cards, breaking down the cards, involving himself in all the drama, covering the news. He doesn't like it. I don't think so, because he has so many terrible memories of it and whatever. That's my own personal opinion when it comes to it. So clearly when then he sees these other guys on top who are clearly making, not even making more money. Money's probably not the main thing. They've got way more. Because I think he probably made a lot more money when he was fighting. I think it's just more so how well regarded they all are. Like they all seem to be loved for the most part. There is no fighter really in the UFC roster where I can think of who everybody kind of unanimously hates. Even the ones that people hate, all it takes is one fight, one good interview, and clearly the whole sentiment around them changes. But with Brendan, it's been the same from the beginning. It's always been hate all the way through his career. It was never love. No one was ever rooting for him. No one ever kind of was hoping he'd win or anything. Everyone was hoping that he'd get knocked out and humbled and brought that back to level. It's always been like that. So
can't understand this anyways.
Eu faço até desafio para ele, né? Se ele quiser apostar comigo na vitória, $50 mil. Para fazer doação para criança carente.
I can't wait to see what he's saying.
Outro tipo de aposta. Ou se ele falou também que
you had dollars
para baixo em 30 segundos. Se ele conseguir me colocar em 30 segundos.
I noticed one thing.
$50 mil para fazer doação para criança carente.
Okay. Number one.
I know. Hold on.
He said he'll fight Chimaev in Rio at light heavyweight.
Wow.
Right?
He was to fight him at light heavyweight?
I noticed something. It looks like they.
I think he was running his mouth.
Oh,
okay.
You know, they're not even going to translate.
What did he say? What did he say? I gotta hear this. This is incredible. He was talking shit?
Yeah, but Brendan, he said that talk a lot of crap that Chimaev will run him over and blah, blah, blah. And also he say that he'll be able to take Alex down in 30 seconds.
Chimaev will take him down?
Yes.
Why is he watching Brendan Schaub videos?
Oh, hey, hold on, hey.
Pause it.
Ariel.
That hurt him. He's trying to pretend like he didn't. He's trying to act like he's part of the joke. That hurt. Even watching it a second, third, fourth, fifth time. This is probably his 10th time of watching it, but it did hurt.
Pause it.
Ariel.
I thought we were cool.
That was me. You're not cool.
I thought
no, you're not cool. And
in the episode earlier, we were talking about how you gotta let go of your hate. I have no hate for Ariel.
I know. I actually like Ariel's show. I said it out loud.
I don't mind it.
It's good. He's
I like it.
He's a hell of a journalist. All right,
He's the best we got.
Yep.
I like Luke Thomas, but that's fine.
Love him too.
I like Ariel. All right, so let's go. Let's keep going. That was mean. That was a little cheap shot.
And he proposed to do a bet with Shaw. He said he went off his mouth, $50,000 if he beat Chimaev. We both go, and those $50K from both sides we donate to kids that in need.
Woo!
Also, 50 more that do not take him down 37.
He's struggling with the maths.
Was that 150K?
I can't tell.
50.
I would
both
just
of them,
let's just stick at
50?
50 grand. Everybody calm down with the 50. He thrown, that's a lot. That's
Pro Chimaev também. Qualquer um dos dois que quiser aceitar a aposta, estou disposto. Doação para criança carente.
Not only to Shaw, but Chimaev too. If you want to jump on the bet train, let's bet. We donate to the charity. A lot of kids are hungry today's days.
That
Let's
is
make
true.
somebody
I agree. I'm down for a good cause.
Coloca um empresário, o empresário dele, para fazer um contrato e assinar, fazer tudo certinho, para as crianças não ficar, né? Natal tá chegando, entendeu?
And not only to run their mouth, their manager, we make an agreement. Christmas is coming. Let's feed the kids.
You don't need
Perreira put
hold on. B.
Oh, that was it.
You don't need a manager. Deal with me direct, Bubbly. Go ahead.
Perreira putting his money where his mouth is. First of all, I'm fucking impressed that this guy's willing to put 50 grand up of his own money to.
He's a pure hater, really. Look at his face. He's a pure hater. You get cool because in this. I think someone mentioned this. In this exchange, this should be a humbling moment because clearly he was in the emotion of the fight. He lost a bunch of money, pissed off. The fighter he backed lost in a really flipping crazy way, and you just like, fuck it, this other guy wash him, whatever. Then you get called out on your shit. This should be a moment you're like, you know what? Fair enough, man. I was a bit disrespectful. I did speak a bit crazy. I didn't mean it that way. This is what I actually meant. Yeah, I'm down for the charity thing, and try to use it as a kind of way to kind of mend the relationship, build a bridge, or use it as a bit. Them being stand-up comedians, use it as a bit to kind of lean into. Maybe you turn up to the flipping studio wearing your fight gear again. Maybe it's a bit too tight and it doesn't fit properly. Maybe you pretend that you're training for the fight and do a little skit. You do something to make it fun and interesting. They do neither. They do completely neither. Instead, they sit there and try and nitpick what he's saying. You got Brendan doing that weird, confused face like, oh, this foreigner's not talking English. It's someone's translating. He's doing that kind of weird, that face that fucking Tucker Carlson does before he's going to eviscerate somebody. Tucker Carlson's got this face he does when he's trying to throw you off and your argument's not making any sense. He looks at you, does that weird kind of that face, that punchable face thing, and then he kind of just picks apart what you're saying kind of thing. And he's doing that same thing, right? Kind of like bully boy tactics, like looking confused or whatever it may be. And clearly he's the one in the wrong. You're in the wrong. You said that guy would get beaten the shit out of and mopped the floor with a day after he won the belt. As a former fighter, that's disrespectful. Clearly, just say I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it that way. I was talking out of turn. Here's my reasons why. Build a bridge, have him on the show next time, make a skit out of it, do some joke, make it into a bit. I don't know, say you're not scared, I'll fuck you up, whatever, do something. But he did neither and he sat there just hating. I love this guy, man. He's absolutely amazing.
Prove that Chimaev has no wrestling against Perreira. That's a confident man.
I just want the it outlined better. The translator's not the best, but so they would fight at light heavyweight.
There's been 3 to 4, maybe 5 insults aimed towards that translator. When that translator comes back at you, Brendan, keep the same energy. He's insulted his weight, his looks. Now he's supposed, according to Brendan, he's not a good Portuguese translator. So clearly he's trying to get at him. And again, Alex Pereira called him out. Alex Pereira, if I'm not mistaken, somebody, I think in the comments of the MMA original link for this story, said that Alex Pereira called him in Portuguese a dog's asshole or something. Something like, I don't know if anyone knows Portuguese and can leave the comment, let me know. But something like that, Alex Pereira said. So clearly not the best endorsement of Brendan Schaub. But he's attacking the fucking translator who said nothing. He just translated what the guy said.
He said he'll fight him at light heavyweight.
But why would they fight at light heavyweight when Khamzat
Because he
fights
wants
at
Chimaev to be at his weight, because apparently Chimaev is very comfortable at 205. Okay.
But why wouldn't they fight at 85 for the
Yes, big up Wolfgang Rittner. Big up my G. Big up, big up. Good to have you, man. Enjoy your breakfast, fam.
belt?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you fight Khamzat
I
at a
couldn't
snatch?
quite understand
neither
that.
one's at 205.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you fight at 85? Because Khamzat can fight at 85.
Yeah.
And then he obviously fights at 70, but he can.
Look, he's picking up the fucking technicalities and everything involved in it. The whole point of it is the person that you said would get mopped the floor with called you out and said, don't speak of my name like this. I'm a legitimate champion. And he basically put the bet out as a point to prove that he said, hey, I can hang with the best wrestlers out there. This is my point. And he's nitpicking everything. Now all of a sudden he's turning into pedantic, man. Like, come on, man.
And also entertain.
I'm sure that weight cuts a motherfucker for Pereira.
Being semantics, man, I mean.
But here's the thing, because there's no belt there. Here, I see. So
Which makes it even stupid.
So here's what I would say. Chimaev, so
he probably just doesn't want to cut the weight.
He's saying he'll bet you $50,000 if he loses to Chimaev. That's what I'm getting from it. That's got to be tempting for you. That's got to be tempting.
Tempting. I'll bet $100,000.
Hey, no.
I'll bet $100,000
that's not,
Khamzat beats him.
No, I'm not letting you do that.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
I'll bet $100,000.
Here's the deal. He'll fight Chimaev in Rio at 205, and he proposed to do the bet with Schaub. It's $50,000 if he beats Chimaev.
The fight doesn't really make much sense because, if I'm not mistaken, Pereira is still big compared to Chimaev. Like, the difference in size is pretty scary. So it doesn't really make too much sense, but regardless, let's go.
If we both go and
here's the
those
deal.
50
He'll fight
grand from
Khamzat
both
in Rio
sides,
at
we
205.
donate to the kids in aid. I love that he's doing this for kids. I love Pereira. 50 more.
Oh, wait, hold on, B. So he's saying 50 comes from Alex and this translator. So if we both go, and those are 50K from both sides, so my side, their side, we donate to kids in aid. Also 50 more that Khamzat will not take him down 30 seconds to donate charity too.
Yeah, we're not going to do it 30 seconds.
30 seconds, I'm not going to.
You're not doing
that's
that.
stupid.
No,
Obviously, I do a show and I try to exaggerate. I will bet 50K Khamzat takes him down in the first round.
I love how he does this all the time now. Whenever he gets called out about his redacted opinions, it's always a show. I'm exaggerating. I'm creating content. No, it isn't. No one's ever watched your show and thought you're playing a character. You are yourself. You know, you want to be taken seriously. Then suddenly when someone calls you out, suddenly it's not serious. It's a joke. It's a prank. It's a prank. Get out of here, man.
No, well, you bet 50K that comes out beats him. That's the
all day.
Really?
All day. I think that's the bet. That's a good
Damn.
bet. Just 50K is already a ton of money.
Damn, I'm a betting man. I don't
That's
think
it.
I can do that.
He beats
because I don't know what Pereira feels like when you grab him. Right now, you're a wrestler. You're a jiu-jitsu guy. You've done this a long time. Jiu-jitsu doesn't that much care if you're that good. Wrestling, I mean, there's no doubt Chimaev is a better wrestler than Pereira. That's very fair to say. I don't think that's a diss on Pereira.
I don't get how he's offended by me saying that Khamzat and stylistically,
he's a
just
fighter.
stylistic.
Again, this guy is really infuriating. This is why he's offended. Khamzat beats the shit out of him, mops the floor with him. If anyone said that about Brendan when he got mopped the floor with after his fights, he would also have an issue with it. No one has an issue with him saying it's all about matchups and styles and it's a complete nightmare for him. People can understand it, but after he won the fight, you being a former fighter saying someone's gonna beat the shit out of him and mop the floor with him, that's disrespectful, my friend. No matter how much you flipping try and, twist it and turn it to make it suit your flipping purposes.
Though, that is a tough matchup for him. With Khamzat's skill set, what he does great is a complete nightmare for Alex.
Yes.
This is nothing anybody else isn't thinking or hasn't said yet.
I would agree with you 100%. Now,
But if you want the smoke, come get it, big boy.
So you want the smoke?
If it's 50K,
are we hearing this?
It's for 50K that Khamzat beats Alex Pierre.
Woo!
Now the only caveat here, it's the 205 thing is weird since neither of them fights at 205.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well say and then also he flies in on a dragon. They both fight at one's at 70, one's at 85. One's a champ at 85.
Yeah.
Put your belt on the line.
Put your belt on.
You got 85.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, why not put your belt on 85? If you're so
might not want
confident, no, hold on. If you're so confident that you can do all this to Hamzat, which I don't think you can even at 205. But if you can, why wouldn't you just go at 85? You are both 85ers.
I'm afraid to take this bet because I'm afraid of both of them. I'm afraid of PEREIRA, who looks, he's a check.
Oh no, I'm not even tempted. I'm in.
You're in.
I don't need to think about it.
So
I'll tweet it out. I'm in. My only caveat
you
here
heard it here first.
My only caveat here, why at 205? Why not do it at 85 with the belt on line? Because now you're making it cloudy. You're making the division cloudy where the UFC is definitely not going to go, yeah, let's take our champ and our biggest star at 70 and have them fight at a random weight at 205 like it's 1993.
Right.
We're not doing this weird one-off
Well, apparently Chimaev has no problem walking around.
Steps. And depending how long Izzy's out because he wants to get surgery and recover. So there's a chance that fight could happen at 85. To go to the UFC and say, hey, listen, we want to hold up not only at 70, but also the 85 division and do this one-off fight at 205.
They won't do it.
No. So it's a bad matchup for him.
Got it.
Listen, the business I'm in with fighters managers, and then comics. Comics are sensitive.
Everybody's
You're not get more people. You never met more sensitive people than comics and fighters.
Part of why people
I go down this
really
lane.
good is that they take it. You're sensitive too. Like when you were
got face.
fighting somebody said some shit, you'd be like fucking.
I would never call him out on there ever.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, this guy is always so infuriating. I'll never call them out on there. You are a fucking liar. If somebody said this about Brendan Schaub after he just won the belt, especially the way he used to fight, right? Especially the way he used to fight. It's if he won the fight in some fucking jammy way where the guy he was fighting broke his knee by, putting too much pressure on it or something, or popped an ankle and he won the belt by default, and somebody said, or he won the fight from a lucky punch, Hail Mary at the end of the fight, and someone said about him that whoever who's faced he might be fighting next will beat the shit out of him up the floor with him, he wouldn't be happy, bruv. He'd be spitting feathers as well. He's absolutely talking out of his ass and wouldn't public air it. Especially if someone said it on air. You said it on air, so he's replying to you on air. He thinks Hamzat flipping, he thinks Alex Pereira owes him the courtesy of what? DMing him and sending him a fucking message and calling him privately when he said publicly that he's gonna get beating the shit out of him up the floor with. Come on, man. This guy is incredible. He's incredible, isn't it? He's incredible, the hubris of this man. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Alex Pereira calling out Brendan Schaub is fucking primetime TV. I can't wait for that fight if it does end up happening in general. It probably shouldn't happen between Hamzat and fucking Alex Pereira in the first place. There's probably other things to worry about. The fact that Brendan Schaub gets himself involved in this situation is absolutely hilarious also. But, what can you do? Big up that guy, innit? And exactly, Mr. Singh, if hubris could kill, honestly, that guy is on another level. I would never call him out on hair. Bruv, you called him out on hair. That's why he's replying to you on hair. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Absolute madman. But anyway, moving on quickly. Liver King. Have you guys seen all this stuff with Liver King? Obviously, most of you have probably watched, I'm assuming, the video by More Plates, More Dates. Absolutely fascinating 1 hour dissection of the Liver King and calling out all of his lies. And for me, I think it's pretty egregious. This stuff I've always hated. And I guess, let's see it properly. Let's see. I've never really understood why. Yeah, this is the thing. I've never really understood why bodybuilders, fitness fanatics, CrossFitters in general, why they lie about not taking performance enhancing drugs or steroids in general for their physique or for the look or whatever it may be, when they're already selling stuff. Like, for instance, if you're a fitness, this is my theory, this is my idea, weird as it may be. If you're a fitness influencer, bodybuilder, whatever it may be, fitness advocate, and you're presenting yourself in one way, you got a six-pack, you got amazing biceps, amazing chest, legs are on fleek, whatever it may be, just because you take steroids doesn't mean you're not working hard in the gym. We all knew we all know you can't just take steroids and suddenly you wake up and you look diesel and you look ripped. You still have to go and do sets and reps in the gym. You still have to do your cardio, do your workouts, whatever you have to do to get yourself to get yourself to look that way. So it's not just a 1+1 thing. So I've never understood why, if you're an influencer, why you don't just say, this is everything I do to achieve this look. But I also use these supplements to aid me. I use this protein, I use this, I use that. Because it's not as if people are not going to buy the stuff that you sell just because you use steroids. The fact that you use steroids is one part, but then if you say to them, hey, this protein also helps with my recovery, or this particular band or whatever it may be, they're still going to buy it. Because especially for me, having played sports and been a keen runner for a long time, the one thing people care about a lot in those things is generally gear. When it comes to workout stuff, like you want the new shoes, you want the new jacket, you want the new watch, the headband, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter who's using it, even, especially if it's an Olympian or somebody at the top level. You just want it because you want to feel like that person, right? It's not exactly going to make you run faster or make you lift bigger or make you an Olympic champion, but you just want a part of what that professional person has. So for me, it's always been a very odd thing in that whole world why a lot of those natural quote-unquote guys lie about doing steroids. It's never really made any sense to me. Like, we all know you do them because we all have enough information and knowledge nowadays about bodybuilding, about human performance and working out and all that malarkey. It's pretty hard to fool people nowadays, especially in this era. I feel like in this era, the more you try to fool people, the more you try to present yourself to be one way, people are going to go out their way to try to uncover you, because no one likes a faker, no one likes a liar. And on social media, there's a lot of people scamming and lying, and there's a lot of people also just that own up to their shit and say, yeah, I do this, I do that. So I never understood the idea of people lying about this sort of stuff. Anyway, Rolling Stone, organ devouring liver king blasted by bodybuilders all over alleged steroid use. Bryan Johnson, who rocketed to internet fame as a fitness and masculinity influencer, calling himself Liver King, is facing a wrath of acolytes after another bodybuilder presented what he says is evidence that Johnson has been using steroids. Since August 2021, Johnson, a boastful, heavy-bearded man with a bulging physique, apparently not a single shirt to his name, has been on Instagram following a 1.7 million by showcasing what he calls ancestral lifestyle. This program consists of 9 tenets, one of which calls for a diet of primal fare, including animal lungs, testicles. Johnson achieved infamy with videos where he feasted on raw liver, threw giant spears, and demonstrated extreme workout techniques, positioning himself as a modern caveman warrior and guru. These performances served as a marketing for his online business, Ancestral Supplements, where you can buy capsules containing beef organs, fish eggs, bone marrow, and other animal products. So clearly what he's trying to sell is that the reason why he looks the way he does is because he eats this raw meat diet. That's essentially what he's selling you, when the truth is he's fucking steroided up. Throughout his year of success selling his routine, as well as his cow intestine pills, Johnson has consistently brushed aside accusation that there is something less than natural about his muscular physique. When Joe Rogan alluded to his possible steroid use, Johnson said he was simply happy to be exposed to the wider audience. This year, casually accused of taking PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, by the host of Barstool Sports podcast, Part of My Take, he replied, "I'll be honest, I take PEDs, I prioritize exercise and dominate every fucking morning." Oh, okay, fuck off. But Johnson now faces more detailed allegations that he's been juicing behind the scenes. It comes from another popular fitness entrepreneur with his own supplement business, a guy named Derek. He's never revealed his last name, who's made a reputation for himself as a trusted anti-PED crusader through his More Plates, More Dates YouTube channel, where he often speculates as to whether jack dudes are natty or not. That is all natural on steroids. It has 1.51 million subscribers. On Monday, Derek released a video called The Liver King Lie, which has now been viewed 675,000 times. Please check it out if you haven't already. The hour-long expose recounts the history of Johnson's virality before delving into the number of emails Johnson allegedly sent to an unnamed bodybuilding coach in mid-2021, before he had officially launched his Liver King brand. In these messages, Johnson appears to relate his plans for gaining million social media followers within a few short months by pushing his body to the absolute limit, aided by a human growth hormone regime that is costing him $11 $1,000 per month. Derek also shared an even earlier unread email that he found in the depths of his own inbox, in which the future Liver King apparently asks for consultation and expresses interest in acquiring HGH. In the request, if Johnson really made it, would indicate that he was woefully unaware of Derek's interest in unmasking steroid users professing to be professionally buff. So he's got evidence in his own inbox of this guy reaching out asking for advice. God almighty. Derek did not reply to his request in the comment, so it appears unclear how the majority of his emails, if authentic, wound up in his possession. Johnson did share a statement with the Rolling Stone, but neither confirmed nor denied he had written the messages. Johnson wrote in an email to Rolling Stone that his messages has always been about the thousands of people who attempt to die by suicide each day, noting that our people are hurting at record rates of depression. Oh, look at this deflection. Our people are hurting at record rates of depression, anxiety, autoimmune, infertility, and low ambition in life. Our young men are hurting and most lost, weak, and submissive. He pitched Ancestral Living brand and solution and emphasized, "This is my fight." In a weird way, I'm grateful for the recent events that have shed a light on this complicated as fuck topic. No, there's nothing complicated as fuck about it. You pretended that your body was completely natural from eating all that raw meat, and now it's been revealed that you take steroids to achieve the look that you have. So you're essentially a fake, which is fine, but there's nothing complicated about it. There's nothing else to add. Just, maybe hold your hands up and say, "I'm sorry," and apologize, but there's nothing to spin here. You said one thing, it was uncovered to be a lie. It is what it is. And obviously you made loads of money from it also, which is flipping deplorable, but hey, what can you do? In a weird way, I'm grateful to recent events that have shed a light on the complicated as fuck topic, he continued. He also offered to give his thoughts on a long form podcast, which unfortunately was not an option on Deadline. This statement did not answer the questions about latest steroid allegations, of course, the authenticity of the email images, the Derek's video, or whether Johnson would seek to assure followers that he had maintained a purely natural approach to physical fitness. The funny thing about this is that in the midst of all of this, he's still trying to shill. He's still trying to grift. Let me come on your podcast and advertise myself and defend myself. I think this is the main reason why Joe Rogan said he wouldn't want to have him on his show. I think he reached out to Joe Rogan and he basically said, until he admits he takes steroids, I'm not having him on my show, kind of thing. I think that's what he basically said. Johnson also took to Instagram on Tuesday, sharing a clip of himself chewing raw liver, and Snowfield says, "What up, Primals?" He asked. "Liver King here. We just took down a Mongolian yak, and where do you think we're going to start?" Of course, the liver most, because it's a Liver King. After taking a bite, he bellowed in the catchphrase "more." At no point did he acknowledge Derek's video from the day before. If Johnson is attempting to ignore the steroid scandal, the bodybuilding community isn't willing to go along with him. The video and other recent posts are deluged with negative comments from former fans and long-time haters. "Must be nice to spend $15K a month on drugs," reads a tough-void reply on the workout clip Johnson shared on Monday. "I'm guessing you're huddling in your primal cave with your team, trying to figure out how the fuck to get out of this one," a disappointed follower said. "While I do believe what you're preaching in general, you should be honest, man." Exactly. That's the main point here. From a very careful and considerate fan. While I do believe what you preach in general, you should have been honest, man. And I don't think anyone has any sort of problem with him preaching this primal lie thing, preaching about masculinity, a little bit, a little bit Chad, a little bit bro, a little bit flipping, surface level bullshit, but clearly it comes from some kind of level of a good place. Do your thing. Everyone's got their niche. Everyone's got their gimmick that they kind of run with in terms of marketing, but you can't promote a raw meat diet, a raw meat kind of lifestyle, and then be completely exposed as a fake and then try and spin it as some sort of good thing or use it as a, I don't know, it's weird. On a liver video that dropped on Derek's video takedown, a user commented, "You could have just done what a lot of builders do and never talk about drug use," he said. "Not surprising, but still disappointing." Another predicted that dude's just gonna play it off like it's not over for his what? Dude is just going to play it off like it's not over for his bullshit. Indeed, it would seem that the short of refusing the email evidence, Johnson can also double down on his shtick. In Reddit's bodybuilding forums, many noted the suggestion that Johnson's reliance on steroids has helped propel his fame. It's also a long-running joke that made his wellness concepts the subject of both ridicule and fascination. He could have conquered the fitness industry if he wasn't such a mega fake natty, said the Reddit user. "People don't care about juice, they care about juice lords lying about their juiceness." Exactly. As I said, I've never understood it. In general, we all know most people, especially if you've got that kind of a seek, you're using some type of drug. It doesn't matter. because for the most part, you still have to work out to get that, you know, to achieve a certain level of flipping muscular fucking bulkness, whatever it may be. Cool. But lying about it is just abhorrent. It really is abhorrent. So let's see it, because it's funny. Someone said in a comment, Papa will make a podcast out of this. Let's see what Papa has to say, because I'm really curious to hear what Brendan has to say, because Brendan had this guy on his podcast grifting and forcing him to eat fucking raw meat, even though he pretends to be, you know, somebody that you know has been on a all meat, raw meat kind of diet. When he was actually confronted with eating raw meat, clearly he hadn't tasted a nut in his whole entire life, and he was really flipping scared about the whole ordeal. But let me play what he said about it, because I think it's quite fascinating. Let's put it here. Let's play it. This is Brendan Schaub and Bryan Callen's response to Liver King getting exposed. Let's see what they have to say.
Of doing bad things, and it's all debatable.
It infuriates me, by the way, that he's wearing an England top. Absolutely infuriates me. There's nothing English about this guy. He can barely speak our language, and there's nothing that connects him to this country apart from an alleged connection between his mum, who it looks like he doesn't necessarily have the best relationship with in general. But I fucking hate this. Such a clout chaser. Like, he must own every jersey of every team that's ever existed in the world. There's not a team in the world he does not support. Legitimately, every franchise in the United States, every team here flipping in the UK, it's absolutely horrendous. Enough already. Pick a team and stick with it.
Whether it's bad. Now, I'm sure you've seen the news on former Firing the Kid guest, the Liver King.
And still welcome back at any time. And still welcome back at any time, the Liver King.
Now, let's get into it. So, this person, is this Barstool Sports? Yeah. Barstool. So, Billy Hot Takes, but just found out Liver King may have done steroids. Utterly shocking. Could have never predicted this.
I mean, yeah.
And so, the guy who actually, I like this dude, the Plates More Dates, Derek guy. He's great. I
get the feeling he doesn't like you, Brendan. So, relax on that one. I don't think he likes you too much. I don't know. I got the feeling.
He released, and Mark, you know more on this.
Yep.
Now, Derek at Plates More Dates posted an email from Liver King's, is it his doctor or is it some advisor? Like, isn't there HIPAA laws here? Like, isn't this illegal? Isn't somebody going to be sued here?
Oh my God. That's the first thing he says. Somebody's going to get sued here. That's when you know grifters are always going to grift, isn't it? Like, there must be a kinship amongst grifters, or amongst fakes, amongst people who are deceiving their audience in one way, shape, or form. There's some sort of weird kinship that they all have in terms of faking it till you make it. Because imagine, I've not heard one person run to this being a HIPAA law thing, a violation. Not one person. Everyone wants to uncover the truth behind the flipping, you know, lies and whatever it may be. But the first response that he runs to is, isn't someone going to get sued for this? Wow.
Was sent heavily redacted emails from a bodybuilding coach who the Liver King was corresponding with. So it wasn't just one email. It was like back and forth, like, tell me everything about you, because if you are going to be a bodybuilding coach, you have to know all these things about somebody's routine, what they're taking now, what they want to take, what their goals are, what their problem areas are. Give me pictures of yourself doing these poses.
Gay.
Which he actually pushed back, and he's like, I have no time. I don't know what these poses are. I need to do this in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Was one of the emails. But he forwarded this on. We don't know who that person is. He forwarded it on to Derek. And Derek went through all these emails. That would be more speculative if it was just that. You go, maybe somebody photoshopped it. But then Derek looked at that email that sent the emails to this bodybuilding coach and checked in his own inbox and found that he had similar emails requesting consultations on HGH and anabolic steroids.
From Liver King.
From, this guy at Ancestral Supplements, whatever.
And that's Liver
Either
King.
Brian Johnson or the Liver King, whatever it is, but we're presuming it's his
same email.
Yeah. And also another email from somebody on his team, like asking something in that vein too. Like, but also it was before he went public. So it wasn't like in the midst of his fame.
It was before.
Right.
Kyle, BTR emailing Liver King, let me train you, bro. Hilarious.
before.
Because he also explains in the email, he's like, hey, I'm going to launch this, you know, Primal, whatever it is. Like Primal, what's his Primal something? He's like, before I launch this, like, I'm putting a ton of my money and investing my time in this. I'm hiring a team. Like, we're trying to reach 1 million followers, like, with my positive message. And he's like, I got to, you know, look great. I got to look the part. Here's what I'm currently doing. My body's not responding to the HGH and the IGF-1. I'm taking $11,000 a month in HGH, which he's overpaying. But so it's like, and then he breaks down the rest of all the shit he's doing. And I guess, but like this was coming. Right?
He's lying. There's nothing to guess here. There's nothing else to figure out. He purported to be natural. He's clearly not. It's a lie. Hold your hands up and admit it and keep it moving. There's nothing else to talk about here, but these guys are gonna twist themselves into pretzels to excuse this behavior.
Right? Like and then you and I got some blowback because when Liver King came on here, fans were like, oh, I can't believe he didn't ask for if he's on steroids.
Listen, let me just say this.
What?
This is not news. Is everybody surprised? We all
Okay, cool. Okay. Says a lot about you guys.
know. Everybody knew. And in fact, it was always tongue-in-cheek with this guy. Look, this guy, Bryan Johnson, has been
It
playing...
was never tongue-in-cheek. He's profusely denied it to the point where he's been blocking people. It's not tongue-in-cheek. It's never been tongue-in-cheek. It's never been tongue-in-cheek. That's why Joe Rogan didn't want to platform him, because he didn't want him promoting his message on his fucking podcast, purporting to be natural and saying that these supplements helped him get the way he is, when clearly he's on steroids. It doesn't make any sense. But of course, these guys, because they turned into the, you know, the place where cancelled and fringe characters go, they had him on there, and plus, you know, he's very popular at the moment, so they clearly was going to add to their views. But Jesus Christ, these guys, man.
Character. This was a marketing thing. He's been playing a character. It seems to have worked, and it was always done tongue-in-cheek. At the end of the day, the guy's saying work out. He's saying work out, get sun, sleep, and eat
Another page with all his stuff.
Good food. But when you look at his body, no one was under the illusion. If you're now like, what? Then come on, you're a silly goose.
And I got news for you. Liberace was gay. So
yeah,
also
exactly.
Yeah,
it's like,
and
what are we talking
Adam
about
Levine likes other women.
Have these guys not heard of the concept of lying? Just because you know I'm lying and I'm still lying and benefiting from my lies, it doesn't mean me lying isn't a bad thing. Isn't there something about good practice, good business, ethics involved in this, principles, morals, doing right by your customers and your fans by being clear and saying, hey, I know I am promoting this message and promoting this lifestyle and promoting this physique, but let me just let you know, let me let you into a secret. It's not all to do with the supplements. There's other help I'm getting also, which is not affordable to the common person, I know, but this also helps me get the extra bit of edge. But you can still get to a pretty decent level doing the things that I'm doing without the HGH. It can still be achievable, because look what I did before. Here's what I looked like before. It's still quite, you know, I'd imagine he still was fairly in good shape before he did HGH. Not maybe as swole as he is and ripped and vascular as now, but still to a good level. So the idea that lying isn't a bad thing is really interesting, how they're basically going about this. But it says a lot about them guys in general. But hey, let's continue.
So the thing is with Liver King, like
Adam what?
Adam Levine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The singer.
Yeah, singer. Yeah, he loves chicks.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, he's a rock star. Anyway,
right.
Dime piece. Anyway,
right.
But it's nothing like when that came out, everyone's like, I can't believe it. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize how stupid people were.
I mean,
so even with him, it's like when Liver King came on here, if off the bat you're like, come on, dude, you're on steroids, right? Now he's notoriously, I mean, he's denied it.
But he also talked about it. Like, wasn't it? Who said? Was it Logan Paul who said, why don't you talk about your steroid use? Somebody said.
Bradley Martin, I think.
Bradley Martin said what?
Bradley Martin, because I was talking to Bradley yesterday, because Bradley's in the community. He's like, I don't get why people are surprised. He kind of like, alluded to it on my pod.
Yeah.
It's basically like, you know, kind of was like, but here's my thing with all this. Like, if you're surprised, you're just kind of a dumbass. Like, there's so many sheep out there where if you really thought he was on steroids.
The same sheep that buy Thick Boy clothing, the same sheep that listen to this podcast, the same sheep that listened to you when it came to fucking COVID, the same sheep that go to your shows. These guys are insufferable. Insufferable, the excuses you'll make. Imagine the scruples on these gentlemen. This dude lied to his audience, fleeced them out of hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in the pursuit and the idea that he was selling them a particular type of lifestyle that would get them to look a particular type of way. Regardless, you think that those fans were naive or not, they bought into it because he purported himself to be honest and true. So this idea of masculinity, about being truthful, about having principles, about having morals, all this sort of nonsense and gobbledygook, and he got exposed to be a liar. Now, it's not a big deal. We all lie, but it's a lie. Do you know what I mean? It's bad. Like, it's fucked up how he fleets his fans for the most part. It's legitimately fucked up, especially in the face of pushback from the community saying, hey, is this true? Hey, is this true? Hey, is this true? And he didn't want to fess up towards it. This is legitimately redacted on another level, but also explains a lot about these guys as people and as human beings. 100%. The worst of the worst. Defending a lone liar and a cheat.
And then B, I don't really care because his message overall, his message is health. So if you could please go back to his website, Jen, that's why I wanted up. So his message.
So by the same token, if a woman's message was about being attractive and about working out and being healthy, and you found out that she got work done completely, reconstructive work to the head to toe, lipo, butt implants, tits done, everything. Obviously she's working out, but all that stuff on top of it, but she denied getting all that work done. Would that still make her message okay? Is that still true? The same thing, by the same token. What the fuck are these guys talking about?
Is health, and you look at cold plunges, the cold tub. He talks about sleep, eat, move, shield, connect, cold, sun, fight, bond. So the message is so positive. To me, that outshines anything. Of course he's on shit.
Of course you say that, because he also shields, what's that stuff that Joe Rogan takes? That's why they're saying that, right? Because Joe Rogan's fucking shields that, what's that, on it supplements that have been, there's some papers out there that are basically stipulating that it's probably full of shit in terms of his claims. And clearly that'll be the same thing he's saying, because Rogan lifts a lot, trains a lot, reads a bunch of books, podcasts with some really intelligent people. His lifestyle he's promoting and how to live your life and how to approach life is more positive than him shilling these fake pills that don't actually do anything. Get out of here, man.
And I hate to tell you guys, whether it's Joe Weider, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Rogan,
whatever book that you got as a kid or whoever you looked up to, they were on shit, man. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're cheating the system. And also,
the bad thing is that he lied about it. You fucking, these guys on. I don't know if they're insulting my intelligence. I don't know.
And also, you got to realize that Liver King was, and it is what it is, was gifted with a foundation where he's genetically gifted. So this stuff obviously enhances that. But people have it confused where if they take steroids, they think they're going to look like Liver King or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You got to work your ass
You can
off.
take all the stuff you want. If you don't have an insane work ethic, it does not matter. So to me, when Liver King came in here, I assume he's taking shit, but don't care. But I assume the reason he's successful is because of his discipline, and he does live that lifestyle. Whether or not he's taking steroids, it does not take away from his message. And that's why we had him on the show.
Well,
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so for me,
he was actually a good person.
I got a kick out of him going, "Sup, Primal," because I was wearing my Invisalign.
Yeah.
I always looked at him as a very humorous American character and a my buddy Bryan Cooley said it best. He goes, I listened to the Liver King, and he sounds like a multi-level marketer. Absolutely. He sells supplements. He's got a whole business. He came up with a...
So MLM. So you're okay to endorse MLM proponents. That's what these guys are saying here. The scummiest of the scum. It says everything about these guys, isn't it? Hollywood grifters willing to take the money of the easily deceptive, easily defooled, easily deceived hordes of paws, because that's essentially who's buying it. No one in their class of people is buying any of this shit. It's all of us regular people on the fucking low totem poles who are looking up at these people thinking that they're living a life one way and that they've got things sorted out and sussed out. And maybe if we just switch to an all meat diet, that suddenly we're going to turn into these swole monsters that everyone's going to like and appreciate and respect. When really they're grifting and fleecing us out of our money to line their pockets so they can buy Teslas and fucking $500 elephant sandals that have been made with blood money. Go fuck yourself.
Character to sell his business. He wears pelts. He wears no shoes or a shirt.
In restaurants everywhere.
He's got a huge beard. It's a fucking cartoon character. He's got a great sense of humor about it.
It's a character. I think it is. It's a heightened character, but it's also it's a character, right? It's an exaggerated version of himself.
Yeah.
But he's actually a really good human being. That's why I care about the guy.
Yeah.
I don't give a. Of course he's not.
How can he be a good human being if he fundamentally lied about what he's doing? I don't understand this. Their perception of a great guy is fucking bizarre. He was nice to me at a comedy club. Great guy. He gave me a set at a comedy store. Great guy. He booked me for this gig. Great guy. He recommended me a good place to get a fender for my Porsche. Great guy. He double tapped like my Twitter DM. Great guy. He shared my new special on his social media. Great guy. What? Excuse me? Anything about how he treats his family? How he looks after his wife? The people he looks after in terms of his friendship group? No? None of that stuff? The money he gives away to charity? What? How he does right by his fans? Nah. That's not great guy. Lie as much as you want about your fans. It's up to your fans. But if you can't figure out I'm lying, that's up to you. That's your fault. So I guess it makes sense because he's the same guy that lies about collaborations. Oh, I had this collaboration with fucking, who's that bike brand that he was doing when he was doing the bike club thing? It wasn't a collaboration. It was just a flipping blank thing that you can do online where anybody can design something with I forgot it was a service that you could use where you can get your stuff. I think it's specialized. You can get your stuff made with specialized branding. But he lied and made it seem like it was an official collaboration. Same with the Thick Boy jerseys. When he first put them out, he made it seem like it was a collab between him and MLB. When essentially it was him sourcing, I guess, MLB jerseys and changing the letters to look like Safe Thick on them, which is essentially another way of doing a custom order. But he made it seem like it was an MLB thing. Then I guess they changed the wording because maybe they're going to get sued legally about it. But he's known to do this himself. This is a thing that he does clearly himself. Even the Japanese whiskey. It's not Japanese whiskey, really, is it? If you look at what people have said online and some of the experts about the whiskey community, it's not really Japanese whiskey. I think I forgot what it is. There's something about the barrels that they use. There's something about the terminology of Japanese whiskey where whatever the bare minimum is to be Japanese whiskey, that's what he's got in his thing. So it's not really Japanese whiskey, and he acts like he, spent time fucking, mulling over the fragrance and the build and whatever, the taste of the whiskey, all this sort of nonsense, when it's not really one. It's just a white label thing that he got done that anybody else can get done as well if they wanted to. So clearly this is coming from a personal place where if he's being exposed, then I might be exposed. So let me put myself out there and kind of protect myself in that regard. But this is shambolic, man. Shambolic. Should be ashamed of themselves the way they're defending this. And like I said, it's not that big of a deal for me personally also. I just think it's one of those things where it's really kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth because he was purporting that lifestyle that he's living will make you look the way he does. The fact that he does gear is no one's business, whatever, do what you want. But you can't sell this caveman lifestyle, look like me, I eat raw meat, when you're doing 11K of fucking gear. Like, fuck off, man. Come on. Let's be real. If you got a couple, like, I know some people do this thing where, like, I forgot what it's for. I think it's called, like, is it called cycling? I forgot. I think it's stereocycling, where you do some, then you go off it for a while, but if you have the residual effects of it, maybe that's one thing. But if he's been doing 11K worth of steroids every single month since 2021, and he's still eating raw meat, and he's working, like, come on, man, you're taking a piss now. If you did it before when you first started to get yourself a little bit of a boost and to give yourself a little bit of a kickstart, so you don't start from absolute zero, understandable. But to say your entire physique is based off eating raw meat, but then now we're finding out your entire physique is not based on raw meat, it's based on the foundation of steroids with the addition of raw meat and the addition of all these other things that you're doing on top of it. Come on, bro. It's an absolute bona fide lie. You're a charlatan. That's essentially what you are. And this whole persona that you built around yourself is essentially fake. You might as well just bin that, because there's nothing about Liver King that makes sense now, because you know, like I said, the lifestyle's meant to make you look that way, but now we find out you have other parts of your lifestyle you didn't share with people. Fake.
Shit. But again, his message overall, if you did buy into his program, look, prioritize 10,000 steps a day. Well, that's healthy.
Take a
cold shower. That's healthy.
Walk barefoot,
Walk barefoot, connect to the earth.
Yeah.
All that you got to remember. And again, if you guys want to take away from Liver King, and this is what's wrong with society, especially social media, is when people are at a certain level, everyone wants to tear them down. They want to take them down. And they're like,
no, if you lie and you're somebody prominent and you build your entire platform off the basis of a lie, we've seen it with Theranos, we've seen it with this SVX guy, people are going to want to uncover it because you're lying to thousands of people, hundreds of people, millions of people. You've got people's money in your hands. You're gaining for it monetarily also. Clearly people are going to want to figure out the truth behind it. And also sometimes in the pursuit of the truth or in pursuit of exposing your lies, they find out you're actually telling the truth and it makes you look better in some cases. They want to uncover your lie. They realize, oh no, this guy's for real. He's legit. He's actually a good person. He's actually doing the things that he's saying he's doing. And he's doing more on top of that. Oh my God, suddenly now you got fans for life. There's nothing you can do wrong in their eyes. But if you're living a fake life, if you're doing stuff behind closed doors, in darkness, unfortunately, in this life, it all comes to light. It's just impossible to keep it all hidden. It really is.
like he's a
people
snake
are
oil,
mad
he's
because
a snake salesman.
Yeah, well, that's
snake
well,
oil.
so people are mad because maybe I would have
He's a snake wants to tear him down. They want to take him down. And they're like, he's a snake oil, he's a snake salesman.
Yeah, well, that's
But he basically is a snake oil salesman, because all the stuff he's saying is one thing, the lifestyle, 10,000 steps. But if he's telling you that living this lifestyle, 10,000 steps, all that included, and the raw meat, is going to make you look the way he does, but he doesn't add the steroids bit, that's the definition of being a snake oil salesman. He's saying this thing does one thing, but it does nothing that what he's basically promoting it to do. Nothing completely. I don't understand. I really don't understand this guy.
well, so people are mad because maybe I would have to see what he said. Maybe what he's
see. Look how he's walking back it, because I think Brian's meditated this and figured this out. Hearing Brendan talk and defend him so so vehemently has maybe made Brian think, hold on, if Brendan's defending this guy, this doesn't look good in general. This is indefensible. I don't think you'll find another person on social media defending Liver King off the back of this, apart from maybe other, bodybuilder guys who have lied about not taking any gear. I can't think of any other person that will be out there defending him.
He's selling supplements and a lifestyle. People are mad because he's saying you can have this body.
He's never said that.
Right.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
I don't know what he's saying.
No, I'm telling you.
We have to be a little careful because we're
Yes, he
not
has.
sure.
We don't know. I know. I've looked into this. He's never said, if you do exactly what I do on this program, this primal program, you're going to look just.
That is still obfuscating the truth, my friend. Just because you don't say it word for word, you fucking whatever, it doesn't mean you're not lying. So maybe he didn't say categorically do this and look like me, which he did. But let's say he didn't say that. He did not say that he's taking steroids. That's the main part of it. You know what I mean?
Just like me, get to my body fat, get to this muscle. No. His whole thing is living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. Yes, but
exactly, Uche. The weirdest. This is the thing this is the thing that I think is just infuriating about people like this. Imagine dying on this hill, the Liver King hill. Liver King. This is what you want to die on. Like I said before, it's not that big of a deal, and it is a big of a deal. The guy lied. Hold your hands up. I lied. I do apologize. And if you're smart and you have a bit of EQ, and you have a bit of sincerity and humility about you, can actually spin this in your advantage. I'm just glad this is out in the open now. I've been carrying this life for the longest time. I know I speak about it in my doctrine or my kind of program of speaking and of leading your life, that you should be, you should always be clear in your intentions. You should never lie. A man should be a man of honor and principle. This has been something that's been eating away at me from the moment I burst into the scenes. I obviously took a lot of gear when I was first starting to give me the boost I needed to get myself out on social media. Now I can categorically say I'm willing to take a test to get, you know, to prove that I haven't been on something for a while, but this is something that has been in my past that I wasn't really proud of in general. But I hope this doesn't take away from the overall message of living your optimal primal life, and I'm going to do my best to rectify and whatever. You could spin it. You could absolutely spin this in your advantage if you had some sort of level of humility, if you were really about helping people and not just lining your pockets. You could ultimately spin this and make it work. I swear to God you could. But at the basis of this, he went to get rich. And he did. He went to get rich. He figured out a hack to do this stuff and it worked for him. Congratulations. But when it comes to being a decent human being and doing right by your fans, doing right by the community, and kind of having some level of decorum, principles, morals, whatever ethics guiding your life, they're completely gone. Especially, you'd imagine also sometimes when you get exposed, you'd imagine that's the moment where you're like, you know what, this is a time for self-reflection. Let's kind of go back to the drawing board and fix things. This will be the moment. Maybe when you're doing stuff cloak and dagger and you're doing stuff, behind closed doors and no one knows, and through flipping encrypted chats and stuff and Tor browsers, it's one thing. When your stuff gets exposed, at least have some sort of level of humility and be like, you know what? Yeah, man, you're right. I did do that. I fucked up, man. I apologize to all my fans, all my followers. I don't like to present one way. Lying is one thing I really do hate, and I'm really upset that I kind of let myself down at my fans by doing this with my family. Hope you guys don't judge me too harshly on this. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and see how I can make this right. But whatever, say something, do something, be a decent person. And these fucking redacts here defending this stuff, it's indefensible. Indefensible. Not a big deal. But when you're defending the lie, it makes you look worse. Legitimately makes you look worse.
But you could make the argument. You could make the argument that he's talking about a healthy lifestyle, and if he's doing all these drugs, that's not so healthy. And I think some people are going, hold on, you're pitching health, but you yourself are taking a slew of, it's probably costing him a fortune. And in fact, all the muscle and all this is a result of doing something that's actually artificial, subprimal, and not healthy. So it grates against the message. So people feel like they're being either lied to or that he's lying. The way I looked at this is, number one, I never bought any of his I don't buy it. I haven't bought any of his stuff.
Of course, get him on the show. Don't buy his products. You don't really rate it, but get him to grift. Makes sense.
Just have always found him entertaining as an American.
Of course, Brendan buys his products.
Character. Obviously, he's a good marketer. Obviously, he's playing a character. And I do agree that what he's saying, the message of health, the message that he's saying is healthy.
Hey, B, let me ask you this.
These guys are legitimate redacts. Legitimate redacts. But it also explains a lot. The people, I think if you went across if you kind of scanned the majority of social media and content creation out there, and you picked apart the people who were defending Liver King, you would probably find a lot of people who have similar sort of characteristics and principles, how they carry themselves in lives, and maybe how they are received and looked at. For sure. You'd find other redacts, you'd find other deplorable human beings who are defending Liver King in this instance, especially if they're using this sort of verbiage to flip and defend him. I'm sure of it. If you went across social media, you'll find people with a similar type of personalities as these type of guys. For sure. I'm almost certain of it. Almost certain. Because this is legitimately one of the worst defenses I've seen of anybody doing something like this I've ever seen in my entire life.
To your point of snake oil and all that stuff and lying to people.
Yeah.
And lying to people, who cares?
Name someone in the fitness space you look up to. Name somebody in entertainment that you look up to who's like a...
If they're not selling fitness supplements under the guise that they're going to make me look like them in a movie, it doesn't fucking matter.
A strong male. Give me one. Or I'll go Chin too. Not Mark. Mark knows natty people, but Chin, name like growing up. Who'd you like?
Rock.
The Rock.
Chris Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. Sure.
Yeah.
Bryan.
Oh, you're talking about like the physical people out there?
Yeah, guys. Man.
I admire Jake Paul. I admire Jake's work ethic.
Okay, that's gay. No, but I'm talking like
entertainment
in the fitness, like entertainment.
Oh, and I'm sorry.
Like he's not a competing athlete.
Oh,
athlete, different thing.
Stallone, Schwarzenegger.
Sure, steroids. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, and there are.
You said The Rock.
There are certain athletes.
All the steroids. He would make this look like a short essay compared to the amount of shit running through The Rock's body. Do you care that The Rock is jacked and preaching healthy lifestyle and working out, and his whole brand is health?
Go back, please.
His whole brand is health.
Yes, go back to the Liver King.
The Rock's entire brand is health.
The Rock was just talking about longevity on an interview.
There you go.
Recently. He's like, do you care about like preparing for the role more or longevity? He's like, definitely longevity.
And now, do you guys want? Do you want to cancel The Rock? Do you want to take The Rock out next? What do you like? You got to pick and choose here.
You guys, I love when he thinks he's being intellectual with these sort of points of view in these arguments. Is The Rock purporting to be the Liver King? Is The Rock selling supplements and a eating regime, you know, all meat diet, all raw diet, under the guise that it's going to make you look veiny? It's going to make you look bulky. It's going to make you look jacked. Is he doing that? Because if he is, then you cancel in the same way the Liver King's getting cancelled. If he's just being a movie star and trying to look great in movies and working out excessively in all the gyms he goes to visit, then who the fuck gives a fuck? But if he's trying to line these pockets off the back of trying to be natural, I guarantee you he's going to get exposed the same way everyone else gets exposed. It happens to everybody. It's not even personal. This happens in the fitness and the weightlifting industry all the time, which is why I said at the beginning of this little segment, I don't understand why these influencers bother to lie about taking gear. Because it's not as if no one in this industry is dumb enough to think that anybody is not on gear. Everyone assumes you're on it. And if you prove you're not, then all good. But people just assume you are. So why would you even lie about it? Because it's not going to hurt your cell. It's not like people are not going to buy your fucking stuff because you're genetically gifted and because your parents are former fucking Olympians and something, or because you're from a particular region of the world where people just grow and, you know, look a certain way. No. They're still going to buy stuff because they like you. That's what most of this stuff is about, influencer marketing. It's about people just buying stuff because they like you. Simple as that. I don't know, man.
You got to pick and choose. Do you want to take The Rock out?
No. I think
we want to take Liver King out because he's a lying fucking cunt. That's it. Simple as that. And if he apologizes and makes amends, it'll be all good. But we want to take him out because he lied. That he doesn't take anything. He's taking 11K worth of fucking HGH. Are you having a laugh?
Is it
The Rock denies? Doesn't
you are
mention
talking
steroids?
about a guy who is selling supplements, liver and bone marrow and nutrient dense nose to tail diet, all that stuff.
Okay.
And there does seem to be there's a lot of money being made on selling supplements,
Which is healthy.
and when you sell supplements, it claims a certain out.
Exactly, you fucking pricks.
No, it doesn't.
I haven't looked
There's
at
no,
this.
There's no claim that if you take protein powder, it's going to look like him.
Yeah.
By implication.
Well, but yeah, when I
Exactly. Is he being facetious on purpose? Do you think he's being facetious on purpose? Or do you think he's ridiculous? Or is he being facetious on purpose? Or do you think he's absolutely just redacted? What do you guys think?
when I was 12, I thought if I took Muscle Tech, I'd look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Look, it goes back to this. It goes back.
Of course, similar people have the same connection when they take a protein from a particular influencer or fitness person. Why is he finding it so hard to understand?
If you're surprised that this man was doing,
You deserve
stuff,
it. You deserve
I mean,
it.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, then go get a booster shot.
I'm not, you know, by the way, I still think he's 100% natural and I'm sticking to my guns. No. But, you know, at the end of the day, everybody in Hollywood that you look at, everyone in Hollywood that you look at is doing something.
Now look at this. This Chris Hemsworth preaching, he has this whole workout fitness center power.
And an app.
And he has an app to get big and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Should we take him out next? Now, I don't know if you have news or not. Have you seen when he's getting ready to play Hulk Hogan? You see how massive he got?
Hulk Hogan or Hulk?
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And so those three gentlemen on there, if we take a piss test, USADA is banning, these guys won't be allowed to fight for 2 years in the UFC.
I mean,
I hate to break everybody's heart out there. Most of the listeners are like, yeah, no shit. Dude.
So just so you know, like when I was going to do a movie with a big director, he wanted me to gain some weight, muscle. And I went to my trainer. He's sick. He's a strong man. He's been in gyms his whole life. He was 60 at the time, maybe 55, whatever. And I said, I need to put on, I walk up to him, B, and you'll like this. And I go, hey man, I got to put on 20 pounds of muscle.
Gear.
And he goes like this, he goes, yeah? I go, yeah. He goes, and how do you want to do that? I go, well, I don't know. I just, maybe we should start lifting heavier and then just give me a diet plan. And he looked at me and he goes, Bryan, you're a coat hanger. Genetically, I can't do that now.
Especially at your
I'll never
age.
forget this. He goes, if you give me 2 years and I put you on gear, I can maybe get you 20 pounds heavier.
It'll be tough.
If you eat a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
And even that would be tough, right? Because I'm not. So when you see a lot of these guys, whether it's Zac Efron or whoever, in these, or if you look at the cast of most of the people in 300.
What do you mean most? All of them.
Yeah. Everybody would be so amazed in Hollywood. Dan Bilzerian said it. Dan Bilzerian said, everybody you see in Hollywood at one point or another is doing something.
You know, shit.
I might be the only person.
Yeah.
I might be the only person on the
But
planet.
you never really,
at 55.
besides that
I'm
one
not- it's
role,
not my
they've never
brand.
asked
I mean,
you,
I
it's
know,
not
I
your
know.
thing.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like,
of course.
Is that it's the height of naivete. To
But
think.
here's
still claiming Natty?
I'm still.
But here's the thing,
Natty,
B.
buddy.
So here's the thing. You brought up 300. Remember 300 really started the surge of fucking the shit you like.
CrossFit.
CrossFit. Yeah. The Spartan workout, right?
Yes.
Now, do you care that the gentlemen on the movie who were shredded, right? And obviously there was some graphics and shading and ear spraying going on, but still, those guys were shredded. They started a movement that is actually really healthy.
Yeah.
Do you care that the start of it was guys that were genetically modified on PEDs? No, the overall message was this cool CrossFit.
This guy is absolutely redacted, man. Like, I think I'm gonna stop there because it's already reaching 3 hours. But this defense of the Liver King is insulting to most people's intelligence. I think so, because at the core, the issue is that even if you believe the Liver King didn't categorically come out and say if you eat meat only and you eat livers and you eat guts and hearts and testicles and all this sort of nonsense, you're going to look to Jack Tadvani as he is. He did allude to it. He did make it seem as if you do this, this is going to have this effect. In the same way that, you know, they say with fucking Alpha Brain, if you take it suddenly, it's like a limitless pill. They don't really do a good job of really explaining what it actually does. You still have to take some sleep. You still have to work out, have a balanced diet. But they make it seem like you take this Alpha Brain, suddenly your brain fucking expands and you can use the percentage of your brain that's not really active or that sort of nonsense. Same with Liver King. So he didn't necessarily clear up or, you know, make it known what he's actually doing. Then on top of that, he was doing 11K worth of gear. That's the fucking funny part of it. Like, that's the part that was never revealed to people. So he kept that secret. So if that's allowed, if that's not a lie, then these guys are, you know, I don't know. It just says more about them as a characters, people, that they are kind of defending this indefensible notion in the first place. It's absolutely abhorrent. It's just beyond words to even kind of describe and kind of even get into. And it really just insults most people's intelligence. But Jesus Christos. Like I said, I don't necessarily care. I think he can still come back from this. Like I said, if he was humble and had the humility to be like, hey, I fucked up, you know, I kind of let you guys down. I sold this one thing, but hopefully you guys don't think this takes away from this thing, blah, 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 blah. He could come back. He could still come back. But somebody who would lie to this extent and lie this, you know, fucking strongly about this thing in the face of all this countering evidence is clearly somebody that's probably not the greatest of guys. And people that would go out their way to defend somebody doing that aren't probably the greatest of guys either. So it's just a real big douchebag circus, and they can all basically enjoy themselves with each other's company and all that sort of malarkey. But it's pretty abhorrent. Everything's horrible. I hate every little part of it, and I don't know what else to say. It really is horrendous. What a horrendous hill to die on, man. Honestly, the worst, the absolute worst. But what can you do, innit? What can you do? Anyway, it's been 3 hours. Thanks again for those of you that tuned in. I'm going to end it there. It's been a blast. Happy to be back on the wagon. I'm going to start doing these more often as per usual. Now that I'm back and, you know, back on the other side of things after my bonanza a couple of weeks. But here I am back again doing a bloody thing. Thanks again for checking me out. Gonna hopefully do a podcast soon as well, so you should hear that soon. That's gonna be entering the stream very, very soon. Many things to talk about also on that. Obviously, everything concerning myself you can check out on my site, xnozinga.com. Many things about myself. Check out the channel, scan around there, check out the other videos, sign up to the Patreon. Episode of that's coming out very soon. Also, just keep in touch with all the things that I do. And yeah, man, you know, and join the Discord as well. The Discord also, you can join there where I update on some things there, and you can get the behind the scenes idea on what's going on and the truth of the situation. Sometimes can get revealed on there, so join the Discord if you want as well. But yeah, appreciate every single one of you. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody that hung out. If you haven't already, please make sure that you're flipping liking the stream also. That really help what I do. So if you can, please do like the stream. But big up everybody that's on here. Big up Uche as per usual. Big up Gerard Mellerick. Big up Andrew W. Big up Joshua Martin. Big up Andre J, Mr. Singh, Dark Web J, my guy. Big up Coiler, of course, my G. Big up Silly Cyborg, I see here. Who else is in the chat here? So many fucking people, bruh. Who else is here? I can't see. Too many people to mention. Big up, who's the other person here? Dark Web J, I said already. Yeah, many people, everyone that's in the chat. Big up every single one of you. Big love to every single one of you. I do appreciate every single one, and I really do hope I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Keep in touch as per usual. Like, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys very soon. I will see you guys very, very, very soon. Peace. Come on, let me